Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Corporate Esports Association Valorant Spring 2026 Finals, sponsored by Amazon Luna. We've got an exciting best of 5 for you here today, but before we get into all that action, I've got to introduce the legend of my digital right, Sir Waltham. How are we feeling today, my friend?
Feeling fantastic, hot sauce. Another great day to be here in CEA, casting some Valorant. Nothing I love more than getting some good games in, watching some fun times, having a good time. You mentioned it a little bit when we were behind the scenes there, just kicking back, enjoying the games these teams are going to be putting on for us. We do have AimDroid versus Hyperspike. Hot sauce, you want to give us a little bit of a rundown about them?
Well, it looks like AimDroid had met these guys a little bit earlier in playoffs where I think they won 2-1. They sent Hyperstrike down to that lower bracket where they were able to battle back here today. But we'll take a look at the rosters first for AimDroid coming up. Playing for Doctors Without Borders is the charity here today. Of course, that $2,000 prize pool on the line. But we got Sura, Nox, Crispy Joe Fu, XCS, and that player 5, I believe, is going to be Appa's Bork.
Yeah, and you know what's incredible here, hot sauce, is their uniforms are so on point. They all look the exact same. I've never seen it before. It's amazing.
Yeah, sometimes you got to just get those matching outfits. It really helps you lock in there. So, but playing with Doctors Without Borders, obviously a great cause. I know on the other side, we've got Hyperstrike from Epic Systems playing for St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. So a lot of great things happening out here today. You can see their Hyperspike, though. We got Freddy, Explicits, Dinky, Haunt, and Shatter ready to maybe get a little bit of that sweet revenge, right? We talked about them losing in that upper bracket early, so maybe a chance to get that revenge here tonight.
And for those long-term viewers who have been watching a lot of the CEA Valorant scene, Hyperspike and AimDroid are not going to be names they're unfamiliar with. Love to see these guys kind of coming back. A lot of familiar names, particularly names that stand out to me. Crispy Jofu, XCS, Freddy Y on this end, and Shatter as well. Gonna love to see if they can repeat some of the performances from last time around, or if maybe things shake up, go in a different direction perhaps this time, hot sauce. However, now we're going to be looking at the map set, and we're going to be starting on nice Underwater in Pearl.
Hey, I love this map as well. It kind of gives me some of those old Counter-Strike vibes that I grew up playing before I transitioned over toward Valorant. But and also it's a map that, you know, we typically don't see a lot of Chamber. Chamber, it can be very useful on a map like Pearl. Fracture, it's one of those love-hate maps. A lot of people hate it. I typically love it, so I'm here for it. Lotus, another great one. You and I were talking a little bit before we got going here today as well. Ancient, kind of that gentleman's map pick. It's a very, very common map that is very well known. So I'm hoping that we get at least see Ancient, or Ascent, excuse me.
I got you. Ascent, no, looking very good. Hoping to see it, and you know, with some of the changes that happened a while back in Breeze, perhaps a little bit more controversial. I missed the old hallways, but that's going to ultimately be our map 5. Should these teams go 2-2 to the final death blow to decide it all the way? Going to be a long night if that's the case, hot sauce.
Hey, I'm here for it. I love Valorant. So hopefully we'll get, like I said, I'm hoping for at least 4 maps, but you will not find me complaining if we do make it all the way to Breeze. I might gripe about the map a little bit. You talked about that upper hallway and stuff. I despise the changes to Breeze, but hey, they're trying to figure out something to make it work. At least it's aesthetically pleasing to the eye. You're out on the beach, you know, you can feel those warm summer vibes if you have to deal with that map. And Viper's popular there, so maybe we'll see some of her.
Fantastic. Always love to see that smoke, the green mists coming out whenever possible. Viper, kind of one of those controllers that requires a little bit more coordination, a lot more permanent of a kit. You know, Omen's smokes recharging up gives you the opportunity to pivot. Astras you can recall, but Vipers, once you place that wall, it's a little bit more permanent. I mean, we're talking about controllers as well. The harbor changes I haven't seen in CEA quite yet, and I look forward to seeing how the teams, if the teams, I should say, kind of interact with that, insist on interacting with that new agent, kind of bringing him into the fold here on any of the maps we do end up seeing.
Yeah, and you know, you might see Harbor on a Pearl. He's very popular on a map like Pearl with his alt changes as well. I remember the first time I experienced his alt, I was like, wait, what the heck is that? You know, and I enjoy those changes. So Harbor, very popular on a map like Pearl. Fracture, you know, your Breaches, your Killjoys, I expect to see some of. I've used to be a Raze main, but now I'm a Killjoy main, so I'm a little bit biased when it comes to my Killjoys, but I hope to see some of them out there as well. But honestly, that's what I look forward to, right? These team compositions, because you know, we're playing for charity. The bare minimum requirement here is just to have fun. And so it's a little bit more about those comfortability picks than it is maybe necessarily those meta picks.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the conversation it always comes down to when you're talking about anything. Perhaps a little bit lower than that tier 1, tier 2 level is just kind of what's the most comfortable pick for a player. And from what I understand, we should be able to see what the players will be picking here in just a minute. They are going to be loading in just a second. And it looks like nobody's locked in anything quite yet, but it looks like I'm seeing that double sentinel from the side of that's going to be Hyperspike, and double duelist from the side of Aimdroid. So looking forward to kind of seeing the play style difference if that is what these teams end up committing to.
Yeah, and I think even from the Scholastic to the pro level, we've seen a lot more of these double duelists coming out. So things like that don't necessarily surprise me. I'm hoping again to see Chamber. You really don't see much of him, but on a map like Pearl, can be a very valuable asset. I like the fact that we see a Sova coming in. You get great intel here. Could be on both sides, whether it's that Sova, the Fade, but you always want some type of intel maybe to help you out. The Sky Flashes or something that could potentially do that. But hey, Killjoy's on both sides. I'm happy.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're talking about the double duelists, when it comes to Sentinels, I mean, Chamber's probably the closest thing you can get to that double duelist type feel where you get the one kill, immediately able to pull yourself away, kind of reposition, find a new area. Very similar to a way like someone like a Yoru might be able to, or a Jet. You hit the shot and you immediately dash out. We'll see if it kind of plays in that similar way, or if it's more focused on that kind of Sentinel classic of locking down the zones and really kind of restricting the enemy movement. But we are getting loaded in here. And like I said, Hyperspike going to be starting off on this defense where the double Sentinel should ideally shine a little stronger.
I think Shatter was like level 530 or something, so maybe a player to keep an eye on there as well. But yeah, this map pick Pearl is going to be Aimdroid's map pick, so it looks like Hyperspike going to want to start out on that defensive side here. I was interested to see, do we go with the classics and the light armor? Do we gamble with a ghost or a bandit or a sheriff here? And it does look like we got a little bit of an array of weaponry.
Yeah, a good little spread here. I'm going to be opting into that ghost, so the opportunity, on these first rounds where light armor is really kind of the primary go-to, is going to be very fatal if you're able to land those headshots. And we're seeing immediately that push up with that teleport out, getting immediately into position. I like this hold so far.
Yeah, unfortunately, all the action is toward the A site and mid here. We see that spike being scooped up by Sova, and they're going to shift again, kind of this direction. Those smokes will go down here, though, and that'll kind of limit that pressure. So we see Aimdroid just kind of falling back, playing patient. They got a minute 15 on the clock. Maybe look for an early pick here. And now about to go head-to-head. Explicit will put a couple rounds into the door.
Yeah, very, very close to catching perhaps the opposing Astra off guard, really limiting the control that can be had through those smokes. If they were able to find it, not the case, however. Instead, it's going to be a push towards B. Now it looks like though into the waiting arms of this Chamber. Might get spatted out by the Owl drone here.
Oh, he's able to shift just around, but unfortunately he's caught in a firing squad. 44 health. He's going to have to dip back here. Now the stampede is coming. They said enough pitter patter. It's time to get at her. They drop the smokes, and now charging onto the side. Appa's able to find the first. It's a headshot onto Astra, but Shatter right there with a sheriff to answer back. Now at a 4v4. They continue to play the game of cat and mouse, and it's a 1-for-1 trade now left in a 3v3.
Oh, and the trades get slimmer and slimmer, now going down to a 2v2. However, Spike does get planted for Aimdroid. Time not going to be on the side of Hyperspike any longer. Hunt trying to lead in. Now 2v1 swing, perhaps onto the Astra Appisborg, the last standing, the last to fall. I think he's going to be going in for a quick little diffuse to start things off on the right foot for Hyperspike.
It comes down to the wire. This is exactly how we love to see it, but it is Dinky with that clutch on the KJ, and not a lot of health to work with. 22 health left in the bag, so it's an incredibly close round, but it's nice. When you win that first one, you often to go on and win that second one, right? You're able to kind of force in here. Your opponent's stuck on that eco and just hoping to get a minimum of 2 picks.
We'll see if this luck continues, although like you said, certainly going to be looking favorable for Hyperspike. If you're Aimdroid, you might just try to look to pull 1 or 2 away, get something going into your favor. You can see immediately Aimdroid probably going to be a little bit more skint on those weapons. We see a couple in hand to try to force something, catch somebody off guard. Haunt immediately forced out with the flash from Phoenix. That curveball coming in nicely.
Yeah, tried to pop a shot, but teleports away wisely here. That outlaw in hand, that it can be a one-hitter quitter in round 2, even if you buy that light armor. So It looks like Android knows that. They realize Chambers here. They're going to shift back and pick up that spike in the spawn side. And this is a team that's been very comfortable with early rotations.
Yeah, Shatter fortunately has that hybrid shield, so they're able to recover a lot of it. But have to be careful. If they just had that light shield, they'd be getting chipped away by that Killjoy turret. That can really cost you against these pistols if you're not careful enough. Like I said, one shot from a ghost can really do some damage on non-armored targets. However, right now, it's looking very stationary. Hyper Spike to get a bit more aggressive, but knowing the number of outlaws, that's just not happening. Shatter not giving Jofu the chance.
Yeah, you know, and they're on defense. So honestly, they just need to be patient. And that's what we see. We'll pick up one with the Spectre Haunt, just patiently waiting. The bait is set. And we see Neon on the other side doing a little jiggle over there. A little dancing their way on the catwalk. But with 28 seconds on the clock, they try to shift in. Sova's going to get caught off guard. They'll combine for 2, and Hyperspike puts the first 2 on the board.
If you're aim droid, you don't really necessarily have to beat yourself up about that at all. That's just kind of how you expect these to go. Now, however, they will have those rifles in hand. They are still going to be running into the ugly situation of having to face those outlaws. And with a map that has such a long lane towards B as this one, might limit your options a little bit here.
Yeah, honestly, you know, I think I would be staying away from that B site just to not pressure into those outlaws unless you drop some early smokes and try to overwhelm them. But it seems like Hyperspike is aware of that, right? They only have Chamber over on this B site. They are set, prepped, and ready for this A pressure.
Yeah, very good forward thinking, as now we see tempo slow down just a little bit. Android kind of petering out. Shatter having to back off from that mid pressure. It's getting a brief moment of relief as we see Android slowly saddling up towards the A push, but this could give up a lot of space if they don't have anything watching aside from that alarm bot towards spawn.
And Android just so comfortable being patient here. They'll hear that owl drone, and Crispy will look to explode the run it back. He needs one, but he can't catch it. It's Freddy on the SMG, and he comes up big. Run it back is denied. Curveball goes out, and they try to pressure through, but the neon wall actually keeps him from being blind on the other side. And they go in and out. Dinky finds one with a swarm grenade, and it looked like a decent attempt from Android, but it's floored it away immediately as Shatters found another.
And that is tough. It looks like the coordination wasn't quite there from Android. I think the Phoenix went in and just wasn't ready with the rest of their team. However, Spike does go down. Hyperspike now have to kind of switch off of that passive tempo that they were playing earlier and really try to lead into something. But with 2 players at Flowers, could really make something happen here. Don't know if Haunt has been revealed, but Freddy going to be taken down now, kind of restricts the movement, especially with Opus getting a second. Haunt with just this Outlaw's really going to be in a tough spot, given it only has 2 bullets in the chamber. Could take out 1 each, but it's a lofty goal.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Aimdroid can just be patient. They've already got the plant down. That's what they do. They play off the alarm bot. Sura on the peak finds a triple, and with that, Aimdroid will get on the board. So they win their full buy round. That's the important one. Hyperspike hopefully bonused well and should be able to invest here as well.
Yeah, very interesting in that last round that we saw kind of a lot of utility being used, and it looked like for a minute Aimdroid almost retreated back towards that A main area, but they were able to maintain that point presence, and despite the fact that it was a 5v3, I believe, able to get the spike down, able to manage to hold themselves and get enough time to pressure out those kills. Great job, and now it really looks to equalize the field in terms of the point line.
We hear Neon just legging it across the map, who did take a small nerf recently when it comes to those shotguns as well. So kind of surprised to see Neon still out here in full force, but we talk about that comfortability pick. Aimdroid finding an early pick here again. That spike still down towards spawn side, and now as they grab it on the minimap, we can see him kind of shifting toward that B direction.
Yeah, that would make a little bit more sense. Hyperspike might not necessarily want to commit that high level of artillery towards those long lanes if they're not necessarily anticipating it, and if they just lost 1 round. Although I gotta imagine they're looking like for like here. Operator in the hands of Shatter, cutting not the longest angle, but perhaps one that Aimdroid's going to be slow to check. Neon dashes in. Shatter still holding those angles firm, trying to tell by the pats of the Neon, but not able to connect on the Sura. A great spike opportunity for Aimdroid.
Yeah, I think Shatter maybe just too worried about that Neon. Sura gets one served up on a silver platter there. Op goes down. Explicit's Odin in hand. And I love these various skins, that one specifically, but he's going to drop the Odin for an Op here. And equally annoying gun to deal with at times, but in a 2v4, it's a tough situation here for Explicit. One tough close, and now that dart is going to give them all the intel they need from Apis to XCS. They combine for 2, and just like that, we're all tied up.
It's looking good for Android so far, especially considering they were on a little bit more of a level playing field against Hyperspike, who now perhaps going to be a little bit on the back foot as they won't be able to afford that classic rifles and full armor. Going to be interested to see their thought processes as we look towards these weaker rounds, whether they're going to be looking to try to force something or perhaps just save and make the rest of these dollar bills count towards whatever they can.
Could be tough. The economy, equally as important aspect of the game that you need to make sure you have locked down. You got to eco together. You got to buy together. Explicit. We're going to drop some smokes here. A lot of pressure toward mid, though. We find an immediate pick from Neon, and then we see Shatter with the blades able to answer back.
Yeah, that is good econ value. It doesn't look like the rifle is in an area where they can reclaim it. However, they would have to kind of cross this massive, what you could consider a kill zone, especially with the scout out from the chamber. Not going to be able to find anything. Has to immediately dip out, but the wall bangs start coming through, and in a little bit of a sticky situation here. Apis does manage to get the wall bang through the door. A nice start and cracked open a couple of routes here and now for Aimdroid to navigate onto either side.
Yeah, you know, you look at Explicit here with Bandit in hand, and it's just tough. You're outnumbered, you're outgunned, but I mean, they have guessed correctly, right? They've walked toward this B site, 2 posted up, and all 4 of Aimdroid just slowly begin to snail crawl their way this way.
Going to be the Astral Divide coming in, Alarm Bot as well. Oh, the abilities out. Get Sura, get Crispy. And that's a huge opportunity from Shatter. Still having those knives from very early on. Just avoiding that recon dart.
Oh, able to step out. Apis right there to put him down, though, and saving the life of Sova. Explicit with a Bandit. Finds XCS. An absolute banger of a pick, but he's not able to upgrade the weapon just yet. Astra to drop the smokes. Got to help. Crossfire is there, and wow. Dinky dinks him in the dome. And just like that, Hyperspike, it looked like it was a round that they weren't going to be able to win, and they turn it around.
That comes down 100% to Shatter being able to get a few kills off with the knife, and then a couple of weapons being able to be out of the hands of Aimdroid. And that could really put some hurt on the econ as we look forward. Looks like Aimdroid will be fine, I believe, if that's Astro wants to invest towards their Neon, they could. Looks like they might just be looking for that 1 kill to get the Neon ult.
Yeah, I mean, the Neon ult is so deadly. You just point, click, run, and gun. It's got that COD style to it almost. So potentially could play for an orb here or find that pick. We see Neon already out toward long side, maybe trying to grab that orb there as the snipe shots ring out as well. Spike's still down, though, and just kind of looking for a little bit of intel, it feels like.
Certainly does, and Android doesn't look like they have any of their smokes set to limit the sightlines from Shatter. No surprise there. Perhaps not looking too committed to a site just yet, as it looks like the lean might be a little bit more towards A. Freddy, however, slowly clearing up. I don't believe they saw anything moving forward, and that means that Android might be able to get a little bit more ground before taking a hard engage. Might be able to catch Hyperspikes just a little bit more unaware.
Yeah, if they could find this pick, Freddy ideally needs a minimum of 1, but hopefully 2, and that Owl drone is going to force them back a bit, but it gives them the extra intel. You take a look at that mini-map, we'll see Killjoy beginning to shift this way as well. And now that pressure to unfold. The smokes go down, the spray comes out as well, and that's going to keep them at bay here. 35 on the clock, and they're going to have to make a move soon.
They certainly will, but it looks like they know the strategy here. It looks like they know exactly how they want to execute this. The timer goes off for that lockdown. Lots of ults coming out. Hyperspike managing to lose Dinky to that Hunter's Fury. Aimdroid, however, losing one of their own in Nox as they tried to make their way around past Art. But Crispy Jofu going all the way in towards the spawn, claiming 1 and then making sure that Freddy pays with that kill for their life.
Nasty little double there, and again, now it's all down to Jet here. Slowly shifting around on a 3v1, would need the triple and the defuse, and unfortunately this game of cat and mouse. Shout out to the observer here as we get all angles of the ring around the rosy, pocket full of posy. Unfortunately, the bomb will go boom, and Aimdroid will get that 3rd round.
I thought Jofu might get caught out here, but no, certainly here's the Jet. Manages to get him on the way out. Shatter not able to make anything happen this time around. You know, the 1v3s only work so far.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's rare to get that 1v3 clutch, especially when you have to worry about the defusal of the bomb, and it's not often that you see it. So I think it was a wise decision to look to save that rifle. Unfortunately, your opponent had shifted into your spawn and was waiting with welcoming arms. So back to the drawing board, but hey, it's still 3-3, all tied up yet again.
It is, but one thing I'm looking at in Aim Droid is that they do have that Phoenix ultimate up, and we saw them with pretty moderate success run it in last time, just able to get themselves on the plant, and then from there, able to claim what was looking to be a numbers disadvantage. That's not going to help, though. Dinky managing to take a single skull shot to Nox. Hunt finding one as well, and, well, Aim Droid's going to need to make a 3v5 happen again. This time they haven't committed the Phoenix ult yet.
Well, if they could find an early pick and cut that down to just a player advantage, maybe. And there it is. Crispy Jofu popping heads and getting Brad will step to the flames because he's insane, but Dinky shuts him down. XCS, a great trade, though, and that's important to find those trades at a bare minimum. It opens up the site. They'll get the plant. Unfortunately, there is a long lurking flank coming in.
And Freddy actually using this Hunter's Fury to buy time, making the Killjoy feel unsafe to continue with the plant as Explicit's able to slowly wrap around, slowly put the squeeze on this Aim Droid duo that remains standing. The Sova is going to make contact, push them back, and now it's all down to one player for Aim Droid. Sura really needs to deliver here. 2 players down one. Do they know that it's both of them in that spot, though?
That's a tough one. You hear the defusal coming in. You try to take a peek, but Haunt on that tour day force, the one-hitter quitter. It's a thrifty round nonetheless as well for Hyperspike, and they've regained that lead once more.
Man, how much does Hyperspike love thrifties here, Hot Sauce?
I love them too.
Yeah,
I'm all for it.
I don't think there's a single person who hates getting a thrifty.
Baby.
Hey, there you go. No, but so far, like, Hyperspike in their ability to kind of cling back these rounds where, you know, numerically they are at a disadvantage, that's going to help them miles against this Aim Droid team, who admittedly still looks just as sharp as ever.
Yeah, it was Aim Droid that got the better of Hyperspike in that upper bracket, but we talked about that sweet revenge here. Freddy able to find the first this time on the Crispy, and Freddy's good for 2 here.
Oh, continues getting the kills. Hyperspike does not necessarily. Freddy Shatter's going to take that mantle now. Sura going to be looking, trying to shoot the recon dart, but met almost face-to-face with Shatter. Manages to get Freddy. That killing spree will stop, but going to be detained. Hung around a little bit too long. It's only a matter of time. Nobody there to back them up. It's all down to the lone Astra.
Yeah, how many times does Aim Droid unfortunately find themselves in a 1v3, 1v4 situation? It certainly is not ideal, but Apis up for the challenge. We've seen a lot of great multi-kills from Apis here early on Pearl thus far, but maybe just wanting to save the rifle. You look at where the spike is down, you look at the hold that Hyperspike has on it as well, and so might just be hanging out here for about 35 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, this is just waiting your time out. I mean, it's wise from the side of Aim Droid. You don't push a lost fight like that. You don't throw good money after bad, if I'm using cliches here, Hot Sauce. And I mean, you kind of have to be reasonable about it. Aim Droid, they're going to eventually go down to that 5-3, but it's going to put them at an advantage where maybe they can win round, what will that be, 9 afterwards? A little bit more favorably.
10 seconds left.
Well, you know, at least if you're on the Aim Droid side, you can use this little bit of time to talk over some strategies, talk about what you're seeing from Hyperspike, where they're setting up, you know, and maybe something that you could potentially exploit. But it seems like they are quick at making these rotations. They often leave that spike down in toward the spawn side here. And so I wouldn't be opposed to maybe seeing them look for an explosive round, drop those smokes, hit the flashes, use that run it back, follow your Phoenix in. So even if he doesn't get a kill, you trade out that run it back at a minimum.
At a minimum, we'll see if it pays off this time around, holding onto it. Perhaps it looks like the rest of the team going to be hurting for that cash, but that Astra still able to make perhaps the hero run as necessary. Pushing up towards this mid courtyard area will be the high firepower, but Haunt immediately has the lineup on it. Has to be very careful. Oh wow, Haunt taking out mid teleport.
That's a tough one. The op shot was lined up, but it's Apis on the Ferrari swing. Dinky says it ain't no thing, though. A 2K, but one is a run it back. Phoenix will regather his life and health. He'll get a second chance opportunity, and he'll take full advantage of it. Crispy Jofu turns Freddy.
the XCS trying to swing cover for that Phoenix coming out of those smokes. However, site possession once again held by AimDroid, and they've looked good and they've managed to get themselves on site. Sometimes that is the hardest mountain to climb for this team, as we've seen in these 9 rounds so far. We'll see if this continues to be the trend. Shatter looking to lean in, can't quite find it. XCS taking them down with that Stinger, should be able to trade up off the rifle of that Jet, however. Almost like it was a Judge instead. Not going to quite have the range to deal with explicits as Crispy Jofu trades out from Flowers.
Trades back and forth. Crispy, unfortunately, not a ton of health, but Dinky in the same boat here as well. Diffusal comes in halfway. Realistically could have stuck it, but Crispy's got the timing here.
Ooh.
Beautiful job and a nasty clutch.
I don't doubt Crispy Jofu here, but looking a little bit fidgety on that crosshair placement. If that first bullet didn't do it, I don't know if the follow-through would have been there, Hot Sauce.
That's just a tough one to make, and if you stick it there, you know, they say pros don't fake, right? You would have had it, but most of the time teammates are close enough. You typically do get it halfway and try to find that pick. So I understand both sides there, but just only looking one direction, it's really tough. We see it kind of, you know, we see exactly why, because Phoenix comes around the other side and gets a freebie.
Yeah, it's no good options there if you're the Killjoy, unless the Phoenix just completely disregards you, but I think most situations that's a great thing. Apis is going to be slowly backing off as Hyperspike immediately takes a strong mid-possession here, not allowing AimDroid a lot of chance to pivot should they want to change their plans around. Instead, it's just going to be basically through spawn. They have to take everything, but they're going on to what looks like potentially a weakened A site with just the Killjoy. I say weakened with all the Killjoy kits still being held.
We see a little shift towards spawn side, maybe one through Art as well, and now Explicit opening up, finding Appas here first as well. Hyperspike, they've done a good job at reading the plays, and look at the flick of the wrist from Dinky. Finds another. Haunt says, not without me, you're not, and Freddy will get a piece of the pie as well. Everybody getting kills. It's like Oprah's handing them out for free.
Hand them out for free, and Sura's looking like a goodie bag right now. If they don't turn tail and start running, going to be a difficult spot. Once again, this 1v5, the most grim we've seen. Explicit getting a 1 for their own as well. Team drops flawless from Hyperspike.
That's got to feel good, too. Flawless just before the half comes to a close. You got 2 rounds here to close it out, but we can kind of see Appas and Shatter having a battle at the top of the leaderboard here as they continue to duke it out, but everybody fairly even in kills across the board. You see Neon back on this Bucky, and this is where she took her biggest nerf as well. So I'm kind of interested to see how this will play out because it's a very scrappy buy.
Yeah, I mean, Nox, you look at that, you see 10 deaths, but that's just 10 opportunities for your team to follow up behind you, make some trades happen, try to break the crosshairs if you're that Neon. Immediately slides in right there. That's what I'm talking about. Dinky getting traded on by Crispy Jofu. That Killjoy going down means a lot of utilities taken off the field.
Haunt being patient here yet again, trying to work that ebb and flow with the snipe and the teleport. We'll see a subtle shift on the mini-map, though, as you see in the top left-hand corner of your screen. AimDroid, they've shifted away from this A site. They've gathered that spike as well, but they're heading right in towards Shatter here, who's also on an op.
Yeah, you have to be very careful, but it looks like Crispy Jofu not careful enough. It's not Shatter on that op. It's Haunt instead, who has one of their own and manages to get 2 with it. XCS following in a similar way to their comrade. However, now lining up at door. Haunt managing to make it a 3rd. Could get a 4th to their name. Killjoy actually backing off. Don't know. I don't recall what the econs look for these teams, but if AimDroid's looking at the scoreline they have now, they might be wise to hold on for that last round econ, especially with no armor on the Killjoy. Looking a little slim here for AimDroid.
Yeah, they gambled a little bit, and there were players that were close to that 1,800 credit mark where typically you want to be to find a full buy in the following round, but there were some that were 1,500, 1,300, so a wise decision here, I think, to hold off in a 4v1. Realistically, you're not going to be able to do this with the time that's on the clock, but they can't allow Chamber to isolate so many 1v1s. We see shot fall back, gets another shot. They either have to try to explode and overwhelm that opper or just fall away and try to find a different way in.
Yeah, and I mean, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about a little bit earlier, where, you know, despite being 2 Sentinels, this definitely feels almost like a double duelist composition with just the 2 ops kind of dominating lanes, and you not really feeling safe to operate in any lane. I mean, it's funny that duelists kind of operate in the same way that the kit of a Sentinel does, in this case, a literal Sentinel, but it's just the way it goes sometimes when you have such dominant players with the mechanics to really make those things happen. As we look to go into this last round of the half, we will see the full artillery come out from Android. Rifles and full armor still in their hands. Hyperspike, of course, more than well equipped to deal with this oncoming rush. Hunter's Fury coming out from Android to try to shake things up right at the gate.
Oh, we see that Hunter's Fury looking for something. That lockdown has been placed here as well, and Shatter just waiting for that peak to come in, but Android is smart here. They're allowing that lockdown to get to its full potential. Jet on the back pedal isn't going to make it out in time, and Crispy is on the hunt. He will step through the smoke and find them as well. Here comes the curveball, the flash. Unfortunately, the run it back does expire.
Spike does get planted for Android, though, so they have their opportunity to make it a nice 5-7 half as that Spike will continue to tick towards explosion. If they can manage to hold the site or put enough pressure on the Hyperspike to perhaps make some mistakes here, especially with that Jet gone. There's not a lot of good entry options to retake this point. Freddy taking down XCS, though, makes the playing field a little bit more level. Freddy caught out with that utility. Doesn't get killed within it, though. 3 peaks and does manage to take the loss. Crispy Jofu getting a nice 4K to wrap up this 5-7 half.
Switching sides.
I mean, honestly, I think, 7-5 isn't too bad for either team, realistically. You typically want to get a little bit more on that defensive side, and so I think at 7-5, you're happy with the outcome regardless of whatever team you're on. Now, this pistol round is really going to help decide these first couple rounds that follow, though, and it's a chance for Android to find a tie game here.
You're certainly right. I mean, when you talk pistol rounds, it's always kind of those two. It's always 2 rounds, whether it's round 1 and 2 or whether it's round 13, 14. It's always going to be the pistol round, probably followed up by whatever bonus round you get after that. Or the anti-bonus, whatever, the level up round after that. But when you're looking at this, it feels so much more impactful as you head into this 13th round because the numbers are looking higher and higher. You're getting closer and closer to that 13-point line. And already the aggression coming out from Android, we can see them taking a little bit more space than I believe we saw Hyperspike doing as they're going ahead and trying to reclaim those old orbs. Hyperspike, however, keeping things a little bit more mellow. Hunt trying to find something. Shatter successfully doing so.
Hunt on the jiggle here, Ghost in hand. He's trying to bait out that peak here as well. Hits a little spray as Dinky finds a headshot, and Hyperspike enjoying a 2-player advantage here yet again. It's a great start to the pistol round. Now they just have to solidify it.
Fortunately, that Killjoy for Android still up and running. A lot of utility, able to be deterred and prevent that opposing Killjoy from really getting onto site. Although not going to be for long as the headshot from Shatter comes in. Not the headshot, the kill shot coming in from Shatter, able to land another one in their pocket. Dangerously low, but for the 2 kills they've already gotten, certainly not bad. And Nux just seeing the wrist of Dinky going in for the stun. Dives in, able to get 1 more on their belt. Although numbers still not looking great. Crispy Joku taking the long wrap around, not able to connect. Freddy with nice control, able to land those 2 headshots.
Yeah, I mean, so far it's a great start to the pistol round from Hyperspike. I mean, we saw them get so many opening picks there, giving them that 5-3 player advantage, and they've just kind of been continuously working off that. Android has got to find a way to find an early pick, and being on an eco here in this round, I don't know if light armor is the answer, because you see Crispy down to 1,300. If he doesn't find a kill here, he most likely won't be able to find a buy in the following round.
Gonna be tough. It's Android. This could potentially be a very essential round for them. Sonar darts coming in from the attacking team, just trying to clear out that B lane, or at least get an idea of who might be hanging around in those zones, as immediately that midsection taken by Hyperspike, trying to get some routing through these art areas. Shatter taking the lead once again. That is a lethal spear point to be headed here for Hyperspike.
Shatter will slowly relinquish this space here and head back toward mid with the spike. We see Killjoy waiting on the other side, though. Still a minute on the clock to work with as well, so plenty of time to find this rotation, but look at Neon on that mini-map.
Yeah, I'm very curious if the Killjoy can hear these rotations kind of coming through. The stun coming in, Nox not able to connect, and perhaps a bit too much aggression coming in from Android. Not quite able to keep the lid on the boiling pot as it goes. Weapons getting tossed around in favor of having the stronger man hold the weapon. Explicit's looking to drop some stars down. Oh, but turns the corner, immediately caught out by XCS. And with this, now 2 members remain standing for AimDroid, but they're already pretty close to sight. Hyperspike obviously has the read. Ant has the shot on to Sura.
Spike planted.
Well, Apple's classic in hand, trying to work the magic, but again, you look at the screen and it's a 1v4 to a 4v nothing. Headshot from Shatter and a nasty triple there as well. Hyperspike really beginning to power forward, and again, we have to remember that this is AimDroid's map pick.
Yeah, this is not going to bode well for AimDroid if they manage to kind of fumble the ball right at kickoff. It's going to be tough, and you're going to be fighting from a losing position, but certainly not impossible, and it only might lead us, as you mentioned, Hot Sauce, to seeing that 4th map of Ascent and potentially onto the 5th map of Breeze.
We can only hope. We can only dream for that Breeze, but they better at least give me Ascent, or I might flip some tables and riot here. But Hyperspike, I'm sure they would love to break out the brooms and get it done in 3. We talked about them losing in that upper bracket to AimDroid, so it seems like they've been doing their homework, putting in that practice, and ready to get that sweet revenge.
And immediately locations being revealed out. Shatter forced back just for a moment as AimDroid commits the Owl drone to searching out Art. Not going to be finding any kills off the back of it, but a little bit of time burn will be difficult, though, if AimDroid has to go in and try to reclaim some space, say if a spike plant were to go down. But with Nox taking down Hamp, that's a great start. Looking to really lean in here. Nox taking down a second. XCS now looking to back up their Neon, and looks like A might be a little bit open, or at least that's the impression that I get. Shatter leaning in along with Dinky, creeping around, seeing what they can find. Shatter take it down in quick fashion.
Nice shot, but he's going to need a second, and he gets it. XCS finding Dinky. There's Nox on the jiggle. See Explicit just on the other side. They continue to dance around, but it is a 5v1. Explicit through the box finds Nox, but it's only good for 1. And XCS a triple as they gather a very important round here in the second half.
Very important. The unfortunate part is they're not out of the woodworks quite yet. They're not even onto a little bit of a downhill coast, as Hyperspike still has the cash to buy some fierce-looking weaponry, particularly that Odin, as it can just shred through most cover that AimDroid might be looking to take initial turns from. But see, as the realization of that weaponry comes to light here in this round.
Yeah, the Odin, it's just so good at putting a hailstorm of bullets downfield, and it can be tough to deal with. We'll see how they navigate these rough waters. Right now, that action lingering toward Long B with a couple players outside of mid here as well, and Neon's going for a peek. Will we see that same explosive slide into the double? Denied.
Ooh, and a good recon from the turret allows Hunt to swing onto the Neon, claim 1 kill, and Hyperspike really seems to be punishing this aggression from AimDroid in a brilliant way, and in a way that looks a little bit different every time from what I'm seeing now. A lot of aggression lined up onto B as Hyperspike looks to get ready to 4-man force their way towards site, and Alpha's stuck in an unfavorable position, caught out by that swarm grenade. Now Hyperspike is free and clear to claim most of the site. Spike is going to be going down, planted successfully.
Yeah, great situational awareness by Dinky there to toss that swarm toward back alley. Appas had no choice, but unfortunately to just die. Sura posted up here now. The plant has gone down. Shatter's found Crispy, and AimDroid in some serious trouble. It's a 5v1, and Hyperspike looking to get to double digits.
It's all going to be up to this Soba. XCS not able to find anything, and now Hyperspike 10-6. They might be a little bit more on that cruise control. AimDroid hopefully has a little bit of cash to scratch up something good, but Hyperspike going to be keeping most, if not all, those weapons still in hand, still well in pocket.
Yeah, honestly, this is pretty much the choke it or check it point for AimDroid. Once we see Hyperspike at 10 and they're at 6, they've got some money to buy into this round. So either they check it and stay in the game, or they choke it. Hyperspike gets to 11. They're most likely not going to be able to buy in the following round. And at that point, Hyperspike 1 away from map point.
That is a little bit of a grim start here. I don't want to, start hypothesizing, but 13-6 is not the scoreline you'd want in your first map. We'll see if perhaps Hyperspike can keep that aggression going on Aimdroid, or if maybe Aimdroid changes up the tempo, gets a little bit more in their pocket before this map comes to a conclusion. Either way, cart before the horse there for me, Hot Sauce. We're looking now as Hyperspike slowly poke around once again, reclaiming this a space that now it seems Aimdroid might be a little bit anemic towards taking. Hyperspike kind of shoulder to shoulder that chamber to Killjoy, unaware that there's opposing members in those lanes. That is, until Sura could hear Hant do the reload.
I'm still being patient. We'll look to cheat forward just a bit, and I would love to see them just stay posted up, much like we saw Hyperspike on defense. But even on this attacking side, they're just comfortable being patient here, and so far it's paid off for them. We'll see Chamber begin to shift in toward Art, but with that Astral Wall coming up here as well, it's going to force those two defenders on site. It's a nice counter smoke that keeps them off, though.
Ooh, but this deep lurk from Hant really could put the back brake onto this attacking Aimdroid team. Hant, just almost catches out Sura on that Killjoy, not able to connect initially, but then does quickly follow through. Spike goes down, and this could be curtains for Aimdroid. Still 5 members remaining for a Hyperspike. It's gonna be looking even worse. Explicit's the only one to fall so far. Can't stem the bleeding as Hyperspike now taken up to 11 points. Looking very good. And Aimdroid now, they might be hearing the gallows call them.
Yeah, backs against the wall, do or die at this point. Luckily, it's a best of 5, so even if you do drop your map pick, you've got time to battle back. But you're right, it's not the ideal start for Aimdroid, the team that had won all the way through the upper bracket. They get the first map pick here. They choose Pearl, but it felt like it's been Hyperspike's map pick. And again, I don't know if it's VOD review or homework, but it seems like they've just read this playbook of Aimdroid.
Yeah, Aimdroid just perhaps looking like they're missing 1 or 2 pieces here to really lock in and really start putting the clamps to Hyperspike. We'll see if they can find it moving forward. Hyperspike, however, going to be taking a pretty aggressive push towards A. A lot of members pushing in that main entryway. Not really poking around towards Art, though. They might have the vibes that Aimdroid might be holding one there. XCS gets ready, tries to back off, but Shatter not letting him get away that easy.
Well, Shatter will have to deal with some of these smokes in place here as well. That spike will still need to be gathered up. 1 minute and 5 on the clock, though. Plenty of time to work with, and maybe looking to carry a weapon toward a teammate or just make sure that it's not claimable by the opposing squad, as Appas has picked up another. Now on a 4v3, the Tour de Force has been activated as well.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one, as now a couple more lanes being restricted by Hyperspike with that Chamber ultimate in pocket. However, Spike does go down. And the defenders have to be aware of that. If you're that Astra, you're going to be heard by Sura. That much seems almost certain. But the question is, how is the response? Dinky going to be getting a sneak onto Appas. Oh, but the patience coming through here. Maybe waiting to reveal their hands, but has to be careful. That Phoenix hot on the heels.
Love the trigger discipline. And I think Dinky was maybe wanting to go for a knife there. Saw that Appas was getting closer to the teammate, so just went ahead and took the kill, but Sura popped through the smoke. A nasty triple kill, and just like that, Aimdroid says, we are not ready to go silently into the night.
You talked about, what was it, the choke it or check it? Those moments, and I mean, Aimdroid, it looked like it was going to be a choke it moment, but I mean, eventually they're able to stabilize, rebuild themselves, and come back stronger. And now, guess what? They're the ones with the Odin in hand. It does look like Hyperspike will certainly have enough to afford it with Dinky and maxed out credits, as I can see. But still, the morale of Aimdroid got to be feeling at least a little bit better after that.
Yeah, you know, you're just looking for that single spark to reignite that spectral fire. So we'll see if they can rekindle the flame one more time. But you're right, Hyperspike, they've invested in the stonks and bonds well. They've got funds in the bank, and so it'll be another full buy round for them. Something Aimdroid's going to have to deal with, but they're getting aggressive early this time.
Hyperspike's opting to throw those jet knives immediately into place. A little bit more versatility, allow Shatter to get aggressive. We've seen some magic work be done, and we might see it again here. Shatter getting one on Appas. The immediate headshot comes through. Crispy Jofu not quite able to land the spawn taps that they need there to really put the squeeze on Hyperspike. Will have to back off instead, but Hyperspike might be feeling a little bit claustrophobic if they think that Phoenix isn't letting up.
See the alarm bot going down just to make sure there's no flank coming in, but the Stampede has already found its way onto the B site. Shatter with blades still in hand, looking for something extra. We'll shift and put a few bullets through the smoke. Nobody's home just yet, and that Hunter's Fury is looking for something here as well.
Ooh, Shatter able to kind of limbo below that Hunter's Fury. Not going to quite find anything. Defenders locked down now. Able to slowly squeeze out anybody from Hyperspike. That Jet might be able to hide a corner. But does the defending team know that and have any mollies prepared for that spot? It doesn't seem like they do, but it looks like the Neon was trying to pressure it out, not quite able to connect. Brutal. Shatter walks away with 3 HP, and that could be enough to really tilt the fight in the favor of Hyperspike, especially with this spike going down. It looks like Aimfruit's really going to have to make some plays here, and they just don't have it. Shatter basically uncontested. Eventually the attackers are going to take it, but man, what good sight hold from Hyperspike.
Yeah, just a great crossfire there, and Shatter probably getting a little more than they should have. Now up to 21 and 11. We saw Appa's very close to them as well, 11, 10 and something earlier, but has gone a little bit silent here in the second half. And all of a sudden, you see Aimdroid was about to make him pump the brakes. Hyperspike immediately answers back, and it's because of that economy. They can continuously fool by here. Now we see it's another scrappy round for Aimdroid and a chance for Hyperspike to close out Pearl.
We'll see if Aimdroid has the resilience to perhaps afford themselves one more round to win. Nox immediately revealed. And this Neon has really been having a tough time of it. We'll see if they can maybe make their fortunes tip in favor this time around, but with a Stinger, you really have to get up in their face. And I don't think Hyperspike is going to be too anxious to let you do that anytime soon. In fact, they're playing a little bit more slow, getting a little bit more information. Nox just holding steady. Who gets the drop here on Shatter? Shatter scaring Nox away, allowing them to retreat back into the comfort of the site.
Yeah, Nox, unfortunately, with Stinger in hand, maybe needed to get a little aggressive and try to use that close quarter combat to their advantage. Doesn't want to fight this rifle at range. And again, Hunt, just being patient here. Does this peak come in, or will Phoenix also just wait it out? That spike is still down, and there's 45 seconds on the clock. That time will go quickly.
And Shatter has to be very careful trying to make the entry here. If they aren't aware of Sura, things could go a little bit pear-shaped, although I'm seeing the lockdown. It's coming out, trying to really put some pressure on them. They might try to get some kills as they try to escape that lockdown. What a smoke to cover Nox on the retreat, able to still get away from that Killjoy lockdown. I really love that maneuver. However, the Astral Divide will make things a little bit more difficult for the defenders to try to get any information. Although Hyperspike losing 2 on that entry.
Appa's finding that last one with the Sheriff here as well. Time ticking away.
Oh, no.
XCS looking for a bit of intel. Almost gets caught with utility in hand. We'll spot not 1, but 2. And there's Appa's. He scooped up the op. He's found the shot, and Shatter good for 1, but it's Appa's again, and he is dropping bodies with this op. Explicit able to reel 1 back with a Phantom, finds another through the firewall as well, and he's hanging on. 1v2. The defuse comes in. It's denied. He's found the triple, and now on a 1v1, 61 health in a dream, but it ain't no thing. Explicit, fresh and clean on the scene, 13-7, as they shut Aimdroid down on their map pick.
Oh man, that was looking like such a winnable round for Aimdroid. You are kicking yourself if you manage to lose that just by a hair's margin, given how down bad you are in the economy to start. Oh man, a great map to get us started here, Hot Sauce. And I think that if you're Aimdroid, you kind of have to acknowledge this might not be the Hyperspike you saw in the original bracket.
Yeah, I mean, that one went all the way to 3 as well. So I think they knew that this was probably going to be their toughest matchup, but I don't think they expected to lose their map pick as bad as they did here in the opener. But hey, it's the finals, right? Sometimes you have those first game jitters, nerves, things. So, you know, I always look for game number 2 in these longer series, best of 5s, best of 7s. I always look to game number 2 to kind of really tell us how, you know, this series might unfold.
Yeah, and we certainly will have the opportunity to see how this series will unfold. However, folks, first we are going to be taking a quick little break, just give our players the opportunity to catch their breaths, maybe calm down, talk strategies, but we'll be right back after this.
Hello, and we are back to the CEA 2026 Spring Finals for Valorant, sponsored by Amazon Luna. One map done and dusted. It favored Hyperspike in that one. How are we feeling about Fracture, my friend?
Feeling pretty good. Glad I don't have to play it. We talked a little bit about
Yeah.
our personal feelings for it at the beginning of this cast, but I think that I look forward to seeing teams of these calibers play Fracture. I think that there's a lot of interesting dynamics. We saw kind of a big push and pull, at least the storyline I was telling myself, Hot Sauce, when we were looking at Pearl, was kind of the aggression as both of these teams were on their defensive and their attacking side. So I wonder how that's kind of going to play in the giant circle style map that is Fracture, where you have perhaps a lot more directions you have to look at as the defensive team and a lot more areas you can push into as an aggressive defense.
Yeah, and it's, you know, we kind of talked about how team oriented it is. You know, I love, again, Killjoy on this map just because you can put that lockdown below the site. It covers the entirety of everything. Breach is a great counter for that. So we do see a lot of Breach here, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see almost the exact same compositions. We talked about that comfortability level. Astra, we saw the mirror of Astra as well. She's certainly a very valuable asset on a map like Fracture. So for me, before I get too excited, I think I just want to see what compositions they're choosing.
Certainly fair, certainly fair. One thing I kind of have reinforced within myself is if it's Fracture and there's a duelist player, there's a decent chance you're going to see Neon, especially considering we saw Nox on Neon in Pearl. Not too surprising to me that they're hovering that character. XCS, who was previously on the Sova, looking to be now hopping into that Phoenix role. So it's going to be a little bit of the change up in terms of what role they might be looking to handle here. Where previously it was Crispy Jofu who was handling that duelist role, now looking towards the chamber. Perhaps to go hand in hand, or I guess hand versus hand against Haunt, who was running the chamber last round and looks to be running it this round as well.
And I'll just see, oh, Dinky is going to go with that Breach. I didn't know if we'd see the KJ coming back out, but Breach, we talked about how good Breach can be here as well. I'm a little surprised by the chamber picks. Don't typically see a lot of chamber on Fracture, but, you know, maybe that teleport is something that can help them try to transverse these long sight lines, right? Because I think that's what can be so tough here is the rotation from A to B is a very long one.
Yeah, I mean, not too surprising to see some of these picks come out. A lot of them make sense. The Brimstone having a large number of smokes and having the ability to smoke off multiple angles at the exact same time. Obviously very helpful when you're dealing with a map like Fracture, where you have like so many different kind of eyeball directions you have to keep aware of. Reducing the smokes, making your opponents a little bit more wary, can give you good options for entry, and it can also give you good options for sight holds, as well as just, you know, slowing down those initial entries, whether you're on the defensive or attacking side. So not too surprising to see those for me. Do look to see the double initiator as I look towards it for Aimdroid. That Breach and that Fade. The Fade obviously plays that initiator that's very good at gathering that information, whereas the Breach is just more so of a disruptive, kind of aggression-based initiator. So Aimdroid might be lacking a little bit in that information gathering if we see them kind of broken down in that fashion.
Yeah, you know, we saw that Sova previously, but nothing on that side. There's no Sova, there's no Fade like we see on the Hyperspike side, and you're exactly right. That extra intel is something that is so beneficial, especially on a map like Fracture. And there's a lot of really good arrow lineups on this map, so I am kind of surprised that we don't see a Sova coming out, but we talk about a lot of teams maybe not being as comfortable on Fracture. It recently made its way back into the map pool as well, but these teams are wasting no time. It's Shatter on the Frenzy, going on a Frenzy. Explicit will pick up the broken pieces. Nox good for one as well as he finds the headshot onto Explicit, but it's a 3v2. Quickly taken down to a 1v1.
Oh, it's a 1v1, but that chamber is what might seem like miles from the spike. No utility really, except for the teleport for either player, but Apis able to connect with the one shot onto the Ghost, and Aimdroid now looking to shake off the map of Pearl, get themselves started in a good way this time around.
Hey, I mean, you know, if a team steals your map pick away from you, the best thing you can do is turn around and steal their map pick right back away from them. So it's, you know, we can't get too ahead of ourselves. It's only the first round, but it is a great start here for Aimdroid. They'll be able to force into this next round as well. We see Hyperstrike or Hyperspike, excuse me, maybe not forcing together. It looked like the Jet had picked up a Stinger, but maybe other players not picking up weapons there. So if they don't win this round, they could find themselves in trouble for a couple rounds.
Yeah, ooh, and Nox immediately getting caught out by tons of utility. I believe we saw Breach, we saw Fade, we saw, well, their own utility coming out as well, being forced out of position, but did drain a few resources from the side of Hyperspike. See exactly how these teams can navigate now that that initial head has come to here. Appas able to take down one. Freddy not finding too much success. It's going to be the blind onto Nox, who's being a menace on this high ground hunt. Stuck in an unenviable position here as the last player standing, but not for long. Sure ensures that as they go to pick up the Bulldog from their fallen comrades and pick up the pieces as well.
Yeah, great round for Druid. I mean, they win that second round when they force in, but they only lose a single player as well. And so it allows them to start to put those funds in the bank. Here comes the important round for Hyperspike, though, right? It's their full buy round. It's going to be a full set of rifles, armor in hand. It looks like because a couple players invested in that previous round, like Shatter, though, they're not going to be able to get that heavy armor. And so hopefully it's something that doesn't come back to haunt them.
Fingers crossed if you're on their side here, but now we look towards the actual execution here. Hyperspike as well, not able to fully kit up. Instead, I'll be looking to slowly lean into that A. I say slowly, but really they're already pushing fairly aggressively, actually already making contact with that site. And now it's going to be on the Android to have to really recontest that at the sport. Able to get the information just on sound alone. I believe they dropped down. Have to be very careful here, however. That drop did not drop down, but that drop can be a death sentence if your entire team isn't ready to catch you, so to speak.
I think Appas knew he was alone, just trying to wait for teammates to get into position here. And now they have the pincer play coming in, but having to deal with that drop and this entry, Hot's going to make him pay. He finds the 2K. Dinky finds the headshot as well, and Hyperspike back to Hyperspike things.
And that is really good on Dinky, just holding that discipline, not giving their position away to the Neon, who end up getting a little bit too carried away with the forces at the end of that hallway, but not with the ones in the little tuck, not ready to catch them on their right side. Immediately gets swept away, and that's going to ensure that Hyperspike takes this a third round and doesn't let Aimdroid run too far away with it.
That's what you got to do. You got to keep it close. I think that's the important thing here for either team, because we saw it kind of start to drift away in that previous one, and it seemed like Aimdroid couldn't ever quite catch up. But able to keep it close. They get to start out on the defensive side this time as well, and I would say maybe slightly favored, but honestly, I feel like Fracture could be one of those attacking maps because these sites are so split. If you can 5-player rush, use that player advantage, find those picks, and get that plant down quickly, it could be to your advantage, but Haunt has other plans.
Spike planted.
Don't you love when you go to give an example and then you see the team doing that exact example you're talking about there? And Hyperspike's immediately pushing all the way on to B, already getting it down. Sura having to drop those smokes, try to give themselves an opening here, but it might be made a little bit more difficult. XCS panicking a little bit, almost getting hit by that Brimstone util. The defending team does have possession of site here. It's going to be the Diffuse trying to come out with the Brimstone orbital coming in, slowly tearing apart the side of Aimdroid. No Diffuse necessary, no Diffuse possible, as Hyperspike still have 4 remaining through that util.
I mean, that was a very fast ult as well. Already in round 4, we see it coming out. Shatter's not too far away as well. But, I mean, I think we see the ult economy realistically in a good spot for both teams. Nox, Appas both have ults here as well. I'd love to see them potentially stagger those out a little bit and try to use them to help solidify some of these round wins here. Ideally, I'd like to see Aimdroid on top here at halftime.
They almost certainly would like to see that themselves. As now we'll see if they can execute. Going to be Crispy Jofu. Trying to lean in, find whatever they can, but we'll see. As it doesn't look like anybody from Hyperspike is really trying to contest that. But Aimdroid might be trying to go back to those old habits, those old tendencies to try to get a little bit aggressive on this defensive side. We'll see if it works a little bit more effectively on Fracture. Again, having the control of those arms allows you to not just maintain that presence, but also to respond faster if the spike does get planted on that site. And now, slowly, Hyperspike not looking too anxious to go and try to make a play here. Nox barely able to miss explicits. Knows they likely push through the smoke, but not able to connect.
Oh man, looking like Stewie 2K out there. Pushes raw through the smoke, still finds the headshot for the headhunter of Crispy. And those were some crispy headshots, but at the end of the day, 2 is not enough. Haunt will continue to haunt the opposition now. Hyperspike back up by 1.
Yeah, and this is one of those moments where AimDroid needs to maintain a steely constitution. You can't start going into these death spirals early on in the map where you start thinking, oh no, we're falling behind. What do we do? How do we panic? If you're AimDroid, you just need to stick to your plan. I do like the aggression we're seeing from them. You just have to be a little bit more meticulous on your executions. We'll see if that comes to fruition this round as we look towards the 6th.
A chance for AimDroid to tie it back up. Rifles in hand for both of these teams, but towards Sand, it's Appas from above to find the first, and Shatter will fall early. Haunt, nice pick back as Nox will be the next to fall. Still 2 ults here, and AimDroid has that run it back should they opt to use it.
Ready, slowly creeping up with that opportunity to push through this smoke. XCS onto the high ground, but could be getting wrapped around to be killed on arrival of their body. If it's not kept nice and cozy, should have a good idea of where the last 2 members of Hyperspike are, or at least the idea of where they are. Make it just the last lone standing breach. The molly coming out, meaning that the breach can't quite get out of town in time. It's going to be the defuse coming through. And AimDroid now looking to level the playing field.
Yeah, they do just that. They get up to 3 here, and they still got a couple ults to work with. You see the Tour de Force here on Chamber. You've got Brimmy as well, and of course Appas. So AimDroid has a chance to use some of these ults, but I mean it's 3 apiece on each side. It really doesn't get much more even than it currently is. We got a full buy on both sides. The shields are there. The economy slightly more favorable for Hyperspike, but this round could change all of that.
Certainly could, and we look towards it. Hyperspike now leaning like they might be pushing towards me, and this is usually the site that AimDroid pushes a little bit more aggressively, and looks like there might be some kind of inclination based on how that Brimstone is hovering for the side of AimDroid. Shatter immediately trying to get in XCS. He's gonna try to make some shots, doesn't make him connect, but makes it difficult for Shatter to be followed up by the rest of their team. Crispy Jofu just trying to hold smoke, caught out, stunned, it looked like. Not quite able to find anything, but Shura cleaning up on 2. It's now an even 3v3. Freddy blinded out, has to hold positioning. Nox able to connect, looking a lot better this time around. 1v1 here. Hyperspike has that orbital, manages to make the connection. Explicits at half health.
And so many of these rounds have been decided by a single player. I think someone could look at that last game and say 7-13 all was kind of a blowout, but there were a handful of rounds that came down to a 1v1 or a 2v1. And here we see a similar situation. AimDroid just not able to solidify that round, and it's these small little rounds like that from Hyperspike that kind of turn that snowball into an avalanche.
And who knows how chilly it might be getting here with you know, any sort of snowfall. But still remains to be seen. We're still very early into this game. Crispy Jofu taking down Hunt immediately. And now Hunt actually looking a little bit worse for wear. Kind of a stark contrast to what we saw on Pearl, at least at the jump of this map so far. Not able to maintain that field possession. It's going to be a hard lock onto A for that chamber. Just holding down these sites might work, as the spawn for the attackers is going to be the rotation location. Oh, Crispy Jofu might be getting a bit antsy here. I wouldn't advise this, Joe.
Waits for the Prowler, tries to hit the shot on the peak, will teleport away and get to safety. The Tour de Force, he's got 3 rounds left. The smoke goes down to limit the pressure, and now Appas lets the Rolling Thunder roll on out. The blind to follow, and you can be staring at the sun for days when it comes to Breach, but it's Dinky and Freddy, and they thwart the problem away. Explicits will find the plant, and it's a 4v2.
I actually like that Rolling Thunder for Rolling Thunder. You use it as the attackers to try to really get some ground, but then as the defenders, you do it to inhibit that momentum that the attackers should be gaining. Just didn't go their way. Shatter dangerously low, but doesn't matter. Still gets the kill. XCS manages to take 1 out in Dinky, but round all wrapped up for Hyperspike.
Yeah, a little thunder, maybe a little lightning afterwards with Breach in those blinds, but getting the job done. It was a little bit of back and forth, but now we're, again, almost like we saw in that first game. We're seeing Hyperspike kind of find their stride, and that's when it gets dangerous. AimDroid is going to have to find a way to throw a wrench in the mix here before Hyperspike starts to put rounds in bunches.
And I'm assuming that this is just an eco round from the side of AimDroid. I didn't quite see the loadouts. Shame on me as a caster, but looking ahead, it looked like they were all going to stack one location. Doesn't end up looking like it's going to be the case. That lone chamber wandering over to A, and who knows how it'll work out. It might not. It's Hyperspike. It might be able to sniff out Crispy Jofu here. XCS goes down. Jofu now going down. That's one member down on both sides. Spike does go down. That's a huge advantage for defenders. At least it would be if that smoke didn't restrict their line of sight, allow the attackers to re-pick up and recollect themselves.
Yeah, and you look at the minimap, Shatter's already on this A site, has completely cleared it out, and so they know it's wide open for the taking, and it feels like Neon knows that too, because they are on a stampede toward that other site. But Plant will go down with ease, and it'll be up to AimDroid to find that retake.
No. How the retake goes here for AimDroid is probably going to be the determining factor as to how Hyperspike walks away with their lives, the point, or nothing at all. 3 members remaining for both sides, and now App is taking down Shatter, but it's good intel. Shatter knows that that breach is going to be coming from one location, and exactly how that utility is going to be aimed. Not sure if the Neon was able to catch the glimpse of the breach and the fade. It's going to be the chamber taken down eventually, but that ultimate coming in from Hyperspike, surely going to be giving themselves enough time to get out, not even needing it. Holding on to it is going to be brutal for AimDroid moving forward.
Explicit finding that final kill as well. No extra rifles to be gathered over, and with that, Hyperstrike will double the lead. They get up to 6 here, and this time it's Explicit on that brim, 10-4, the first to double digits here. And it's just, again, we talked about it, right? They kind of found their stride, and now it's up to AimDroid to put a stop to it, and they just don't have an answer at the moment.
And I mean, it's kind of hard to break down here, Hot Sauce. I don't know what I would do if I was in the position of AimDroid to really change things up. It looks like they're just kind of a little bit off tempo, and Hyperspike more than happy to take capitalization on that. Ooh, but a nice start on the Nox.
Will be destroyed. No extra intel. Has some prowlers to work with, but the blind will keep him at bay again. And these shots dangerously close to finding a mark, as we see a lot of utility being thrown in both directions.
Perhaps a bit optimistic from XCS to be swinging that wall, however. Will give the opportunity for Hyperspike to go in and take the site. I'm starting to think that maybe AimDroid is not quite using that orbital as abrasively as I would like them to. Hyperspike, of course, still has it in hand. A great post-plant tool. App is getting stunned out, I believe, as the smoke dissipates. Huge opportunity here. Nox has the huge ult going through. Sure, able to get one, and it's going to come down. They have to force out this orbital. It's exactly what I was talking about. He filled a lot of time in one kill as well.
Well, time ticking away. It makes it significantly tougher here as we see Nox up above Sands. And easy clutch here. Hyperspike able to find that one. 7-3. Excuse me. I think I have to refresh here. Slightly behind.
And it's looking like the AimDroid just cannot find it right now. And it's something that, you know, we have the power of hindsight with, but Hyperspike, if you go back to rounds, I believe it'd be 9, you would have the opportunity to see that they could have been forced to use that orbital. If they use the orbital in round 9, they can't use it in round 10, and maybe that's the one that goes for favor of AimDroid. It looks like the ultimates are kind of one of those pieces that are just not quite being locked in just yet.
Here comes the flash from Dinky. We'll see Breach. Just trying to keep him at bay once more. All this pressure mounting toward that A site. And again, it looks like AimDroid has maybe sniffed this play out a little bit. We see that rotation coming in toward the A site.
Want to be Apis holding on this high ground, waiting for that door to open up, revealing perhaps any opportunities, any information, or any damage they can get in. Nox gonna be throwing up that wall, but Shatter immediately dashing on the site. Nox getting drilled down by Shatter. Not quite checking right behind on the smokes. From both sides, really going to be limiting movement here.
Planted.
Comes down to AimDroid. Just 2 members left standing, and doesn't feel like now is an opportunity you can really utilize those ultimates. You can't use the run it back, you can't use the orbital. Sure, it is going to take one on the way out, but that's only a small economic victory if they choose to hold on to their weapons.
No weapons will be carried over, and Hyper Spike has just been that dominating team here tonight so far. AimDroid just hasn't really had a response, and we still see these ults on deck ready to flex. I'd love to see that run it back used. You know, and you can just kind of follow that teammate in. Even if he doesn't find that kill, you get it almost guarantees you a free trade, and then you can use that player advantage to your advantage.
Absolutely agree. And I hate to sound like a broken record here, Hot Sauce, but I'm gonna. What is the plan for this orbital? We've seen it. I don't think we've seen the single orbital come out from AimDroid yet. Hyperspike utilizing theirs as a post-plant mechanism way more than AimDroid as a deterrent mechanism even. I would rather see it just to stall out time a little bit on a site. Is it just that the brim's not on the site that's being hit? If so, it seems a little miscalculated here. And now we will be seeing it come through. Doesn't quite catch anybody, but it does force the breach away from the rest of the fight. Nox slowly wrapping around that attacker spawn. They have the eyesight on explicits, and they managed to get this kill more essentially. 2 going in favor of AimDroid. A great start. Jofu managing to trade back, and now it's a classic 2v2. Now Neon not able to find any purchase in the end, and it all comes down to Sura on the brim.
Brimmy with the stimmy, as we love to say here. But Sura is going to have to make the magic happen again. Tucked in a very tough position here, and Hyperspike again. This crossfire does catch the brim with U2 in hand, but that Molly, I'm guessing he's a little bit of a lineup Larry here, and well, we'll be on that spike. It makes it tough to defuse, and with time ticking away, there just isn't enough time.
No, there certainly won't be. 9-3, and if you're a superstitious person, this is great news for AimDroid. If you're not so much, then I got some bad news for you. They have a long and steep hill to climb.
It is. It's a tough ask, a tall task for them to try and overcome this here. And I mean, I think this is a little bit more expected, right? Fracture is not a very commonly played map, and I think Hyperspike may be wanting to expose that. And so they choose this map wisely. It's drastically played out in their favor thus far. And now on that defensive side, I mean, we've seen the 9-3 curse happen many times. Maybe that's what AimDroid is calling upon here.
Like I said, if you're one for superstition, then AimDroid are probably the team you want to be placing your money on. Me personally, I prefer to look at the numbers, and the numbers say that so far, in favor of AimDroid, the best you can say is this has been a very attacker-sided map. And now maybe they get the opportunity to apply that leverage in their direction as Hyperspike going to be looking to hold sites, but they're not holding directly onto site. Very interesting.
Well, AimDroid will linger back toward this B side, I do believe, through Arcade here. And I would like to see some more lurks, kind of like what we see from XCS right here, because we see Shatter, Hyperspike, a lot of these players kind of getting overly aggressive at times. And I mean, why wouldn't they? They have to be feeling pretty confident after the performance thus far.
Oh, absolutely. And you can't let that Rolling Stone gather momentum here. AimDroid are going to be able to slowly navigate their way onto site, but it felt more with finesse than it did with force, and we'll see if Hyperspike can kind of return fire in that way. I mean, Hyperspike already getting 1 and making a double. Freddy, all right, 3, you're going to keep interrupting me like that? Kind of rude. Explicit managing to break up the momentum as they get 1 and then a second. These guys, they just love interrupting me when I'm counting their kills. What's with that?
All right, from the triple to the double of Explicit, they get a full house. And, well, if you're a betting gang, maybe betting on Hyperspike for this one. They get up to 10 now, and it's on the back of a flawless round as well.
It's AimDroid. This is steep. This continues to grow into a budding problem for AimDroid. You have to now win 10 rounds And you have to win them more consecutively the more early rounds you lose. And now with Hyperspike having won that pistol, it's almost certain, or at least incredibly more favored for them to win this second round, this 14th round if you prefer. And I don't know what Aimdroid does. They got on the point. Good for them. Well done. Now evolve and adapt on to that. We'll see.
Yeah, you gotta evolve, adapt, react, all those good things, and trying to do it under pressure at times can be very tough. It is the grand finals. $2,000 prize pool on the line. Of course, $1,200 for first, $600 for second. So you're not going home empty-handed, but you don't get those bragging rights either.
Yeah, these are two teams that have been going at it for long enough that they definitely want to get the pull over one another. Certainly no excuse for them to kind of walk away with failure in their pocket, but no real excuse for them to walk away with their heads hung low. Freddy managing to catch Jofu in the back of the skull, catching Apis in the front of the chest. Now Aimdroid once again down members, but it looks like they might be able to finesse their way onto B site. There will be a few. Brimstone going to be managing to get the plant here. The question becomes, how do they hold it? Nox getting aggressive right into a stim impact Brim and Raze. That's so rarely a good opportunity for that Neon.
Yeah, getting straight knocked out right there, sliding into the death is Shatter with the Outlaw, though, finds a nasty pick, and again, it just opens up so much here for the squad. Sura tucked in toward Canteen, will find one, but it's Freddy on a Quadra and Hyper Spike. They're looking to close out map number 2 in dominating fashion.
Yeah, this is looking grim for Aimdroid, but still a couple of rounds to go here for Hyperspike. We'll see if Aimdroid's able to claim anything back. These clawbacks are going to be necessary, not maybe in terms of winning the map, but in terms of your mental. You know, you walk away from the last map, you go, okay, 7-13, 6-13. That's not too bad. That's not you know, that's not a blowout, but this is going to be looking a little bit rougher for wear on the numbers board from those, you know, just tuning in at the halftime at map 3.
Yeah, I mean, it's 8 rounds in a row now for Hyperspike, and it doesn't stop there. Shatter on the Outlaw again, had some successes. XCS will find themselves laying in a shallow grave. Nox will look to speed on toward the site. Now slides and looking for more with a Sheriff in hand. It's Shatter again who continues to pick them apart.
See, and Nox got onto site, but it looks like there just wasn't the rest of the opportunity for their team to follow up with them. Too many wraparounds, too many different angles that Haunt just already had well in hand. It's going to be up to that Neon. Can only do so much, and Hyperspike now looking towards match point. And Aimdroid are looking towards a perfect game if they want to walk away.
12-3, 9 additional opportunities for Hyperspike to try to close this one out, and it just feels like, I mean, you can see it right there in the middle of your screen. Green, 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 all the way across the board. They have just put round after round, and for Aimdroid, it's, you know, how do you bounce back from this?
I think there's two essential parts to the bounce back. There's the mental bounce back, and then there's the execution of a plan or development of a plan in the bounce back. I can't really say what Aimdroid is cooking on beyond the scenes, but I'm hoping that the streak we're seeing is not a result of their mental kind of dissolving away piece by piece. I'm hoping that these are just perhaps weaknesses in the iterations of their plan rather than the weakness of their mental.
I mean, the nice thing is, regardless of the outcome, we will be heading to their map pick again after this of Lotus. So they'll get at least one more chance to make sure they extend the longevity of this series. Nox steps in, finds Han. It's a good opening pick, and now the wall goes up, the pressure to follow. It's a site that is open and clear for theirs on the taking.
Certainly is Shatter. Looking whether they want to debate that drop spot or not. Orbital Strike comes in from Hyperspike, doesn't claim anything. Aimdroid, however, now crucially has theirs in hand, but the Brim playing dangerously on point. I don't like seeing that. I want to see that Brim get a little bit farther away, make it to where they are safer should the team rush on the site, and then can contest the Spike defuse. Oh, instead decide to use it a little bit early before the Spike defuse even comes out. Manages to take down Shatter, so might be finding their benefit there. Freddy connects a headshot, but I believe the Bulldog doesn't quite kill on that armored target. I believe it was Apis, or maybe it was Nox, but either way, Aimdroid able to take one back. They have broken that streak, so things not looking so bad, but still pretty tough.
Yeah, they break the curse. Unfortunately, there's a lot of funds for Hyperspike to work with, and I'm just glad that we saw that orbital strike come out. I've been waiting to see it. We finally do get to see it from Sura. They find an early kill, and maybe something that kind of created that domino effect for them. So we'll see if they can build off the back of that confidence here, because they're going to need 8 rounds in a row if they want to see OT.
The downside is, unfortunately, you can't have an orbital strike in your pocket every round. But we do see more usage like that. I'll be more than happy for AimDroid to kind of be that iterative improvements here. Hunt managing to connect onto one, but not able to follow up with the second. Does a chunk of damage to Nox, though. 30 HP, certainly not enough to walk away too healthily from many members of the Hyperspike squadron. Shatter now going to be holding those op angles, but doesn't look like they know exactly what angle they want to hold, and that indecision could cost them here. Oh, they turn away. They're giving up too many angles, it seems like, but they do tune in just in time to catch Nox. The high ground being held, and Shatter from the back end killed by Jofu, who now at drop should have a good idea of where Dinky is. Dinky, in similar kind, knows exactly where that chamber is. AimDroid walking away with another one in the pocket, and oh, it looks like maybe Hyperspike getting a little bit too inattentive.
Yeah, Dinky forgot to reload there. 2-3 shots from that rifle expended, and mag was empty. Had to swap to the classic, and unfortunately got sent back in there. Hyperspike, we talked about it earlier, though. I think they had like 8-9 chances to close this one out. So yeah, a couple of them have dwindled away. They don't have to worry about it too much yet, but they do have to be careful about forcing in these rounds. They have some rounds to give. It's really not a problem for them to eco out and just ensure that they can buy together in the following round.
Yeah, or even just trying to force the weapons out of AimDroid's hands. AimDroid's still probably not suffering from a totally healthy and clean economy. Nox using this ultimate just to get onto site might be seen as a little bit of a wasted opportunity here, especially as they are going to be meeting head-to-head with Freddy, I believe, right as that ultimate runs out. The Hound will be taken down. Freddy trying to navigate around these smokes, but not quite able to make it happen. Shatter might have been doing a little bit more damage than good. Hyperspike now looking to really put some numbers up in their favor for this round, but it's looking grim. They might just be holding 4 exits. It might be a solid plan, but with explicits going down, you have at least one exit route that's safe. Now all of them are safe.
Well, slowly but surely, AimDroid has begun to push that ball up the hill here. 3 rounds in a row, and they cut that lead in half. Unfortunately for them, Hyperspike will now have that full buy yet again. If they can steal this one away, though, I mean, you can see they invest almost all their funds getting into this round. They most likely could put one on the back of it, and they're just slowly, chipping away at the lead.
One thing you will have to be careful of is even when you rob Hyperspike of all of their funds, if you do, you still have to worry about Shatter on those knives. It's a tool that's been way more reliable than I think a lot of jet knives have the right to be. Freddy, however, taking the 1 kill on the Sura. Dinky getting XCS with that breach utility. A little bit of a raise from the dead moment for Apis. Crispy Jofu now looking to throw away some weapons as the rest of the team will run them down. Not sure that was necessary. That was going to be last round anyway if the chamber does drop. But either way, 6-13 for the side of Hyperspike. Now looking to get a 2-map lead over their opponents here today.
Yeah, from 7-13 to 6-13, 2 very similar games. Luckily for AimDroid, we'll be heading back to their map pick here in just a few moments of Lotus. So they'll get a chance to deny that sweep. Reverse sweep, though, is, I would say, tougher than an actual sweep itself. So they certainly have a lot of work ahead of them.
They certainly do, and we will be taking a quick little break, see if we can get the adrenaline down for both of these teams as this exciting matchup continues here on the other side of this break. Stick around.
All right, we're back for map number 3 here of our spring 2026 finals, brought to you by Amazon Luna. And well, it could be one final map to rule them all unless AimDroid can pull this one out and send this off to Ascent. My name is Hot Sauce, still joined by Sir Waltham. And what are our thoughts on Lotus, my friend?
Feeling excited for it. Feeling excited for that 3-map style, or that three site style. It's something that we haven't seen in Fracture. It's something that we haven't seen in Pearl. So maybe that's something that can kind of give a little bit more equalization to AimDroid as well. Of course, this is the map that AimDroid opted into in the earlier. For those who weren't there when we talked about it or are unaware of the map selection process, the way it worked was AimDroid got to ban the first 2 maps and then pick the first as well, from alternating from there in picks of map within the competitive pool of Valorant. Lotus obviously ended up in the 3rd pick, per AimDroid picking their 2nd map pick. Long story short, it's AimDroid's map pick. Hopefully we get to see a little bit of a change up, and I'm excited for the 3.4 map.
Yeah, three site maps sometimes tend to favor that attacking side as well. The defense spread a little bit more thin, so if you can be aggressive and 4 or 5 player rush to a site, you typically can overwhelm them. So sentinels can be very important here as well, but team communication honestly is a big one on a map like Lotus.
Certainly is. And information gathering. One thing we saw, I believe it was on Android, that they lacked last round was that information gathering initiator. They had the breach, but they didn't have the fade. Yeah, it was Android. But we are seeing Android lock in. Well, we're seeing both teams rather hover on that fade. Not too surprising. There's a lot of neat areas where you can kind of hang the eye, get nice overhead view of a lot of the lanes of the map, as well as a lot of areas where you can arc it, airball that eye and that dart into a couple of different spots. Looking forward to seeing exactly what kind of creative spots these teams might have lined up, or if they just go to some of the more old reliables that we've seen throughout the Valorant community.
Well, we do get to see a couple omens coming into play. I'm a little bit surprised by the Vise. I mean, she is very good on a map like Lotus, but not too long ago had a few nerfs and haven't seen as much as a Vise recently. But again, can be utilized, especially on the defensive side of this map, which is where they're starting out. You've got Fade for the intel this time, which is something that they had kind of lacked in that previous map. So some adjustments coming in here from the side of Aimdroid. We'll see if maybe they can find a way to topple Hyperspike this time and send us into that map number 4.
I'm a believer here, Hot Sauce. I think Aimdroid can get it together and get themselves a dub here. I do like the strategy. One thing I want to note, I'm not sure how relevant it is, but we've seen a different controller for each of these teams every map. On the first map, it was Astra. Second one, it was Brimstone. And now we're seeing the Omen. So certainly got to be a certain reason that these teams are picking those controllers, whether it just feels more comfortable and it's both teams' comfort picks, or they feel it suits the map a little bit more. No big surprise there, but it's nice seeing a little bit of variety come through in these teams.
Yeah, you know, we get the variety and we get a couple mirror matches here and there, but I think Shatter has been pretty consistent on that Jet. And I think that's about the only home base I think that we've really seen here throughout this one. But most of the pressure right now heading toward that C site. Aimdroid has stacked 2 over here this time, so they might have an opportunity to find some early kills.
We'll see as Aimdroid looking to hold steady onto these sites, not getting too much presence onto B, knowing that they have those Vise abilities. Ooh, Shatter stuck in a Thorn Zone. Apis quick to capitalize off of it, and a nice paranoia coming in. I believe that was a 3-man blind. However, not able to get the capitalization, get the kills on any of them. Hyperspike will have the opportunity to plant here, but from then on, it's a 3 versus 3.
Dinky was aware of this flank that was coming in, but had shifted back the other direction, and now the teammates are going to be aware. That 3v3 turned into a 3v2, and Hyperspike on the lower end of that one. 2 tucked on the site and having to play the curveball. Doesn't find the blind as they're tucked behind the box, but the pressure comes forward. The Hot doesn't find anything, no, and now the right click. Freddy finds the first, knocks. A nasty little triple here as well, and just like that, Aimdroid will take round 1.
Yeah, and I believe that Hyperspike were trying to plant so that they could have control from that mound, but the Killjoy, or excuse me, the Killjoy was not able to quite hold that zone, instead dropping there. And that gave a nice little entry from Aimdroid. And so far, if my memory serves, this is kind of the story we've been seeing. Aimdroid being very successful on those pistols and therefore being successful on those second rounds. We'll see if that necessarily holds true, or whether we see perhaps a break in the trends so far for both of these maps.
Yeah, it seems like Hyperspike, they struggle just a little bit until they get into their full buy and they get rifles in hand, and then they're just absolute menaces. So that hopefully something Aimdroid can avoid this time, but Hyperspike, again, they've just been so consistent throughout the entirety of this series.
Gonna be seeing Aimdroid commit a bunch of people towards B as we start to tell that there is now presence from Hyperspike. The Fade Dog goes out, gives away locational key information here. Reyna, however, creeping onto site C, might be holding for a forward take if their attacking teammates help them out, but no, it looks like A is also clear. So the Reyna now on a deep lurk, nestled gently between the 3 members of Aimdroid, has an opportunity for a huge backstab as long as they keep eyes out for Opus here on this Omen.
Not too often we get to hear the ambient sounds of Lotus, but I can assure you it's only a matter of time before the beautiful chaos explodes. And there it is, Haunt, the Sheriff, the Deagle Demon, if you will, finding that one. He'll scoop up the Outlaw, and he finds another onto Omen as well. Hunt, he has just been an arch nemesis here tonight.
Crispy Jofu not quite able to take it. Explicits, it doesn't even look like they stopped making that run as they connected the headshot from the Sheriff onto Jofu. Looking extremely proficient at the run and gun in the most literal sense. But either way, Hyperspike going to be happy to not let Aim Droid walk away with that second round victory off the back of a successful pistol.
I'm a little surprised that we haven't seen a Clove here today as well. Another great controller you can smoke after death, but I feel like Explicit and Appa here have kind of been playing that mirror back and forth. So we see both Omens coming out. We see a little bit of a split push this time as maybe trying to draw an early rotation toward that C site from Reyna.
Yeah, going to be holding steady over the shoulder of this Mal, just seeing if maybe the defense get a bit aggressive. Might have been noticing the pattern, seeing the numbers. Nox here with the shorty, gets hit by the paranoia, connects 2 shots, but not in enough pellets. And because of that, Explicit's going to be taking them down. I think they jacked their gun as well. Soraya now just hanging out in this cloud, waiting for its dissipation. Explicit's holding sight with their fellow Rays. I was like, a lot of members here, and a Killjoy holding way deep into attacker spawn should any late wraps come from Aim Droid.
Well, Shatter's already found Sura, and Aim Droid just has 2 standing, and it's tough because they force into that second round, and typically they go on to win it, but they didn't this time, and now Hyperspike has that full buy, and we talked about how deadly they are once they have weapons in hand. They are looking or staring down the barrel of another flawless round here for Hyperspike.
What is Apis going to try to do here? Kind of surprised we didn't see aggression from Apis, considering it looked like, I believe they just had a classic, maybe a Sheriff. I think they might have just been trying to die to Spike, get a little extra cash, but not going to quite be working out that way for them. The aggression from Hyperspike going to be coming in just a little too sharply, a little too aggressively. Now 2-1 in favor of the team. Aim Droid will have rifles. Hyperspike should be at a similar econ, but I believe they might just be holding on to what they had.
Yeah, I mean, they had rifles already, so bonusing over some of those rifles, maybe. I think there was a Spectre in the mix somewhere, but it's not the best for aim either, as they invested a little bit in that previous round, mainly pistols, but Nox has been spotted here early. It's Crispy to find the first Guardian, and the Guardian's coming up clutch.
And that was big success as a distraction coming in from Nox. Aim Droid able to take full advantage of that. Crispy Jofu specifically, I should say. That's also going to give them the run it back. Should Hyperspike be able to find an entry and really get some damage done here on those holding this site. Apis taken down, but Hunt traded back quickly for it. And now it's just going to be up to the 2 remaining members, the Omen, the Killjoy, and the Omen's Paranoia really going to be the only thing that Hyperspike can try to get aggressive and push in here with. A little bit of a Swarm Grenade pushing back Sura.
Keep him at bay for the time being, but Aim Droid has that number advantage here, and they're looking to tie this series up, or this map up, with their second round as well. They'll get the plant, smoke goes down, actually denies it for a moment, and the pressure forward. Nox is able to find the first. Explicit able to bring it back, but it's just to run it back. Sura's there for the trade, and Aim Droid really playing together well here on Lotus.
Yeah, Nox showing off a little bit of the parkour abilities. I believe it was hopping onto some boxes, you know, exploring the map a little bit, hitting those unusual angles. Always keep them guessing. It's a good mindset to have.
A little hardcore parkour as we see a timeout come into play here. Is that a Cypher moonwalking?
Yeah, it's classic. I mean, when you're on that ice, you can just skate around. You know?
I miss Icebox.
Yeah, Icebox is good. You talk about Viper maps. I like playing a nice Icebox with Viper.
Yeah, she's good on that one. That one and Breeze, but little timeout here from Crispy. Gonna talk some strategies over here. As again, they found a way to tie it up. We've seen this in the previous ones though, right? It's been somewhat close within those first, I don't know, 6 to 7 rounds, and then we see Hyperspike begin to run away with it. So I want to see Aim Droid, you know, get out on top here on their map pick and, you know, see if they can steal this one. I really want to see Ascent. I'm hoping for it.
I did not see the chat whether this was a tactical or a technical timeout, but either way, going to be resuming here. Still 20 seconds to get going as it looks like Ames would actually have a disconnect here up us. You can see the ping showing a disconnection right now. Certainly would not want to start this round in full without that, but it looks like it might get back just in time. Let's see if looks like the timer hasn't started ticking down yet.
The timer got paused right at the last second. And so they paused the round timer just as Appas has reconnected. So we did get Appas back in. That round timer will go ahead and unpause. And now 1:35 on the clock, the round will begin.
I'll just do the gentleman's agreement that Hyperspike did not push past that barrier, even though it dropped with 2 seconds left. But now we're going to be seeing which route they choose to take. 2 going towards that mound. A couple looking like they might want to hover towards the B entry. And right now, Android just playing it passive, keeping it cool, letting perhaps Hyperspike reveal themselves. Omen Smoke going to be coming in, perhaps slowing down, stemming the bleeding or the flow towards that C site. The Vines will help with that as well. Shatter not able to be caught in the dash this time around. Sura now just slowly swinging around, doesn't want to get caught by the eye, has to shoot it. Shatter on this high ground, gets caught out. I believe they didn't see Sura. Such an awkward location to have to check. Sura doing a great job holding on to this site with the amount of time they had. Explicits eventually does take them down, but it's a well-fought battle so far.
A bit of back and forth. Android still enjoying the player advantage, but not for long. It's back to a 1v1, and now Explicit's finding Crispy is huge. And 1v1 they go, and Explicit around the corner gets the perfect timing. A triple kill here, and XCS will fall. Hyperspike back on top by 1.
That is such an awkward moment if you are Nox, hitting yourself with your own stun. It's something you hate to see every time, no matter who you are, but it happens to the best of us. And by the best of us, I mostly mean me. I do it all the time. So I am not one to cast aspersions here.
I don't play Neon, so I'm safe. I've never done that.
I mean, it doesn't matter who I'm playing. I'll stun myself with Breach. I don't care.
Fair. Okay. Well, Hyperspike back in the lead here, and they've been that dominating team tonight. Honestly, this team has looked scarier than a gas station bathroom, and well, they continue to excel here. Now in that driver's seat once more. We see Crispy finding a nice kill on this Bulldog here, though, and it's a good start.
Certainly is holding for that smoke that one way, trying to provide them some leverage. Get hit by the paranoia. Crispy in a very tough spot, eventually does get swung around, and now Explicit's able to take that mount, put more pressure on to Sura, and C-Site looks cracked open for the taking of Hyperspike. And now those members from Android have a long rotation. Appas doesn't, but he is in the awkward spot of having to manage the door. Can't quite take Dinky down.
Appas finding not 1 but 2 before Explicits eventually snuffs out that flame. Nox pops the ult and does the dance of death as Dinky goes down. The concussion comes in, and Explicit in a tough spot, but they're not sure exactly where he is until now. Explicit finds the third. Nox, the flick of the wrist, will get the final kill, and as time ticks away, Android will tie it up 3-3.
I was talking about Appas being in that really awkward spot of having to open the door, but it worked out very well for them. I thought they were not able to pull the kill onto Dinky, but they were able to get the 2 members who were on site, perhaps even more essential. Dinky had to focus that door, which means the backstab could come in through the attacker spawn. Well played from Android. This is a team that is looking revitalized and refreshed after the break.
We talked about it earlier, though. Consistency is key, and consistency is king. And that's what Android's going to have to do. Consistent 13 rounds on the board. They want to find a chance on Ascent, which maybe eventually could lead to Breeze. But gotta get through this one here first. Explicit trying to play a little mind games with the teleport here as well. But it's quick pressure toward the C site.
Oh, it looks like they have Jofu locked down. Oh, I thought they did. The discipline coming through. The double kill from Jofu with the Bulldog. Certainly not a bad option. Explicit's able to pick up the spike and barely able to teleport before they are restricted out of those primary weapons. Dinky claiming the 1 kill on A site with the teleport from Omen means it will be a quick retreat and plans onto A. Nox not quite aware enough for Dinky to be able to get killed. And now it's going to be Android having to take the long wraparound from C site.
Well, we get to hear the lovely beeps here for a moment as we see that rotation coming in from AimDroid, but it just feels like there's no sense of urgency here as time begins to tick away. And in a 2v3, Hyperspike has that lockdown. I think they're going to opt to not even use it. And in this 2v3, you can't get a ton of value out of that ult from Omen as well. Sora has found that first pick. They know there's at least one in toward tree side. I don't spot anybody, and now the spray from Apos is good. Swarm grenade goes out. It buys some time, but there's still enough. And that lockdown is too long. 11 seconds isn't going to deny the defusal here.
Oh man, the lockdown didn't even seem necessary, if I'm being sincere, from Hyperspike, but it was a good opportunity. I talked about AimDroid kind of using their utility, using their ultimates, and forcing Hyperspike, more essentially something we didn't see a lot of in Fracture, to use those ultimates when maybe you don't get the optimal value for it. Maybe when you would rather have saved them for the next round. Hyperspike not going to have that tool in their kit this time around. AimDroid will have that run it back, as well as that Omen teleport, get across the map quickly should they need to respond appropriately.
Yeah, and this is where we see Hyperspike begin to run away with it in our previous games, right around the 7th, 8th round. So AimDroid most likely not going to win this one, as they are on an eco playing around the hero judge, but we've seen magical things happen before. The dash into the site, the intel was there. A quick rotation coming in from AimDroid, but Hyperspike has complete control of the site.
Zero has to back out, wait for the entire team to regroup. I like this. They weren't able to get any of their kit down, so they just wait for the full team to force their way rather than trying to buy time for those rotations. Smart decision making, giving the tools that they have on field. Crispy Jofu slowly getting in position with a Marshall. This is a risky gambit, given that it did cost them a chunk of change, and so far not working out for them. Nox tries to lean in with the automatic shotgun, not able to make it pay off, and Opus, we've seen the door work for you before, but I'm doubtful this time around.
Yeah, with no armor and a classic in hand, it is not the ideal situation to be in, and I certainly don't envy them, but time will tick away, and we'll see if maybe you can get a consolation prize on the way out. Dinky says, no, not today, and Hyperspike will put the next round on the board, but we kind of expected that, right? It was pistols across the board and one judge. Here's a full buy round for them, and here's where they have to reel it back, where traditionally it hasn't gone their way.
Yeah, the difficult part is going to be that Crispy Jofu is inherently not going to have enough money to buy one of those top-tier rifles. I'm talking the Phantoms, and I'm talking the Vandals, or an Op, if you want to consider the non-automatic options. But they're going to be with something like a Bulldog. They're going to be with something like maybe a Spectre or a Guardian. We've seen them have some success with the Guardians before, but it's just not as reliable. And a lot of times it does rely on the trades from their team, from Nox in particular, who's doing a great job at setting up their team to get some excellent kills.
Well, we'll see this pressure heading back toward the A site one more time here for Hyperspike. It's going to be for this direction. Killjoy will linger around B here, and we see Phoenix going with that idea on the other side of the map here. Shatter just looking for a pixel through this smoke. That Prowler will give them some extra intel, and they know there's at least a few waiting on the other side.
Yeah, it's going to give XCS a good opportunity here. I believe we see XCS holding that ultimate. Crispy Jofu actually managing to find one. If they can pick up the rifle from Dinky, a huge opportunity as well. Cracked open another route through attacker spawn to try to push into here. Nox through the smoke, well performed on those shots. Able to connect, does so at a distance as well onto Freddy. Both fades gone for this team. You're going to be operating a little bit blind without those intel gatherers for either side.
At least AimDroid has that player advantage for the time being. Nox, not a ton of health,
30
but
seconds left.
tucked into the corner. We see Shatter on the other side, and maybe beginning to pressure in toward that B site. But you look at the mini-map and look at the positioning from this Phoenix. He just has to be patient, wait to hear the cue of the plant go down, and now find the swing together. Deny the plant, find the second, there's the spray, and Crispy will turn him into some sweet bacon here as he fries them up and finds a 4th round.
And what a great, I don't know if that was a planned play or just a serendipitous occurrence, but a 2-part play. Apis throwing the paranoia in onto the high ground, really forcing pressure onto the planter and making that top area unable to cover them. As Crispy Jofu goes in for the swing, kills the spike planter, kills the overwatch, make sure that nobody remains standing. 3 members for AimDroid, however, will be able to walk away in favor and with some artillery left in the pockets. Now Nox is going to be the only one without heavy armor, and I believe we saw one without rifle for AimDroid.
And I think I saw somewhere in the chat that something said that Hyperspike, I think, won last year's championship as well. So maybe looking to be back-to-back champions here is Shatter on the run and gun. Will find the Stinger, and it's XCS that gets stung. He'll upgrade to the Vandal here as well. Nox and Haunt will find a pick a piece as Explicit finds the plant with ease. And again, this is a Hyperspike, it seems, finding their stride one more time.
Doing well at it. Aimdroid, however, having a good venture into making this look like a back-and-forth match. Appas holding out for that Reyna Lear. However, catches Shattered, does not have the opportunity to catch Haunt out in kind. So now Haunt going to be earning themselves that Empress form moving into this 11th round.
6-4. I mean, it's still not out of hand just yet, and there's still plenty of opportunities for Aimdroid to make sure it's close here at halftime. This next round's going to be crucial, though. Unfortunately, you look at the economy for Aimdroid, and it's in a bit of a funky spot.
I would agree, and you know, Aimdroid, you might be inclined to say, oh, they're going to get panicked again. This is going to be a repeat of what we've seen before. I would say they're fighting on perhaps the less favorable side. You have more options as the attacking team, and the defenses have to be spread more thinner. Either way, it's going to be an aggression from Hyperspike going on to C site, not being able to be covered as much. XCS taking some damage, Shatter stuck in thorns for just a brief moment. Still manages to take down XCS. Sura going to be falling as well. Now Jofu on a ramp, but can surely be heard by this Killjoy. Dinky, however, just immediately gets taken down. Perhaps not well enough aware, or wasn't expecting to swing. A nice 3-man blind from Jofu, but it's not enough.
Yeah, just overwhelmed by the sheer numbers of Hyperspike as they continue to stampede down. And now we're starting to see what we saw before. Here's that gap lengthen, but we expected it, right? Aimdroid was on that scrappy round in the previous round. They will have nearly a full buy across the board. They've got 2 ults to work with here as well, and they don't carry over to the second half, so it's time to use them.
Certainly is. However, these are not ults you can carry forever. You have to be selective about the timing with your ults. If you're going to use the Phoenix, you have to know exactly when you're going to initiate it and when exactly you're going to press. If you're going to use the Neon, you have to know exactly when you can get those kills and when you can capitalize off that quick burst of speed. However, Explicit's going down early. A lot of health, or a lot of utility gone with that Omen falling. Appas not quite able to find anything with the Paranoia or with the shotgun. Nox able to connect onto one Hunt, taking them the Phoenix form of Jofu. CS trying to go and fish for a little bit of information for their team as the rest of them get saddled up and ready for a push. Nox all on their lonesome, has to be very careful, gets caught out.
Well, here comes the curveball. Trying to make the magic happen, and that's we have not seen that yet. Crispy, those shots were just a bit squirrely there, and it's very rare that we see Crispy missing like that. He has been on point all night, but Hyperspike may be thanking the Valorant gods for that one. They'll steal the final round of the first half away. They double the lead, and now history begins to repeat itself.
And like I said, this is a 3-point map. Aimdroid now on the attack, and that was so far what I would say probably a little bit more of a solid defense that we've seen in previous maps. I'm looking forward to them having a much more assertive attacking half. I'm thinking that we can see them get above that 7-13. I'm thinking we can see them essentially walk away with Lotus. There's still a lot of work to be done, but it's certainly not the realm of reality.
No, and this pistol round isn't a make or break, but it certainly would make their lives a lot easier if they could find the pistol round. But if they don't, they're very well looking at a 10-4 start. And then if they don't win that full buy round, that's when it begins to get very, very dangerous. But I won't get too far ahead of myself as the action's about to unfold one more time here on the A side. And it's only Hot here, so he's just going to back off and wait for his teammate to come into play.
A smart move, given that it's just the Reyna and early rounds, you're not able to refresh your health pool too much, especially with that Sheriff in hand, meaning you don't have any utility, you don't have any armor, although the 1 kill will get you the health steal. There it is, as a matter of fact. Now, at 146 effective health for the time being. However, it looks like Hyperspike going to be delivering here. Shatter not connecting onto a few shots, but with enough of a side sweep to get a couple kills in the bag for Hyperspike and the defuse to quickly follow.
Yeah, that puts them up to 9, and we get close to that choke it or check it point here. But again, you win that pistol round, you often go on to win the round after, which means that Aimdroid can't really afford to force into this round. And already I'm seeing heavy armor. Heavy armor with a classic against guns is just not a great idea. You need to have something like a sheriff if you want to gamble, but realistically, you want to stay around those 1700 credit mark to ensure that you get a full buy in the following round when your opponents are bonusing.
I think the logic here might be that Aimdroid is anticipating those who are below that credit line can maybe pull off a few kills, can maybe get something going in their own favor. That was aggressive, perhaps waywardly so from Jofu to try to go for that ult orb so early. I get wanting to get the Phoenix's ult online. It's a low-cost ult, but it didn't quite seem to work out for them this time around. Aimdroid now down in numbers once again. Do have spike possession, are trying to clear onto site. Shatter going to be revealing their outlaw. Second shot has to go out. Reload isn't heard, at least not off the initial, so you know you have a little bit of space for clearance. Hunt, however, here willing to pick up the slack. Oh, nice crisp one tap.
Yeah, the fact that he picked up a Vandal in round 2 of the second half as well, it's just tough. And that's why it's tough to buy armor with pistols. You just equal it out, you take that round loss on the chin, and then you ensure that you can have that full buy in the following round with armor. I don't know if we're going to be able to see that from every member of Aimdroid because of those investments. It does look like Crispy just barely sneaks it in. It will have not heavy armor, but at least armor for Appas, and then XCS will have to figure something out, maybe a little bit of a glass cannon style here.
Looks like the good old trusty Guardian from the side of Aimdroid. We'll have to see if it comes through and their shots ring true in order for Aimdroid to start walking away 5, 6, 7 points into this half. Now Doors immediately getting weakened here by Explicits. Looks like they didn't want to commit to that knife break, instead just going with the rifles. Gonna be holding a crossfire onto this Ruins zone. Crispy Jofu immediately taken out. That is the member you perhaps did not want to lose the most for Aimdroid. Nox taking down a 1 in Hunt. That's a great start as well.
It's a good start, but you got to be able to finish. Sura picks up a kill and immediately is traded back here by Explicit. Shatter on the Outlaw will be the Outlaw, but XCS, it is the trusty Guardian to come through, but caught in weapon swap animation. Shatter will make him pay up to 11, 1 away from 1 away.
It almost looked like, I don't know if I saw it wrong, but Shatter was aiming for the Neon and hit the Omen, hit Appas instead. I'm not sure if I just read the kill feed at an awkward time or there was a quick motion that happened there. But anyway, great use of those Outlaws from the defending team, really restricting those lines of sights. And yeah, you were able to get Nox pretty close on to a site, but by the time they did, half their team had been cold, and there was only so much you could do at that point.
Well, it's now been 6 rounds in a row again here for Hyperspike, and we're seeing some of these troubles continue for Aimdroid, trying to get that economy in check. They've got a rifle into the hands of Sura. Good to play off the flash here from Phoenix. They're cautious of a potential lurk behind the box. There's only one on the site. I believe that's going to be Appas, but we can see a very fast rotation coming in here for Hyperspike.
And if they're paying attention, Hyperspike should be able to identify a couple Phantoms, a couple Stinger sounds. Now, being able to kind of pick apart what their opponents are going to be strong at and what their opponents might be weak at. That Flame Wall coming out, meaning they're no longer going to have that resource available on the attacking Aimdroid side. Teams are looking equal in manpower, but not equal in health pool, and now no longer even equal in members left on the field. Attackers now have to push towards this A site. Shatter able to get one, and like a thief in the night disappears. Jofu trying to avenge Nox and doesn't have the spike, has to go pick it back up, but can the fade put them in an awkward position by the time they do?
Crispy seems to have an idea that that flank could be coming in here. We see the Molly go out, does spot them on the cross, and does he continue to head toward the A site though? Dinky on the shift walk, and they're not expecting it at all. Peekaboo, I see you. Dinky, the dome yet again, 12-4, 8 chances to shut it down, and you don't know how Hyperspike would potentially fumble this bag.
Yeah, this is, I said that I had the most faith that Aimdroid would be able to come up, looking better than they had in any of their maps. And you know, I guess that can be on me. That can be my caster curse of the night. I mean, so Hyperspike has just been on point. They've been looking sharp, and of course, this is one of the few times we don't see Android even win the first pistol round. It's such a shame, and I believe that there's this could have so easily gone a different way for Android if they were able to get a little bit of the momentum.
Well, one player's caster curse could be another player's caster blessing, and maybe that's
true.
what Hyperspike has been. They've been blessed here tonight. The skill certainly speaking for itself, but XCS and Sura, quick two-piece, followed, answered back immediately by Explicit and Haunt is good for 2 on his own. They just can't seem to shut this man down.
Oh, the walls are closing in. Jofu eventually getting squeezed from both sides like a bad hug. Now it's going to be all in the favor of Hyperspike, winning it 3-0 in maps here. Unfortunately, no Ascent.
No Ascent. I'm going to be sad. I'm flipping tables here a little bit later when we get off air. But hey, Hyperspike has to be pleasantly pleased on a job well done. This is a team that I believe lost in a best of 3 to Aimdroid in that upper bracket. They fought all the way through the lower bracket to get back here, to get some of that sweet revenge, that sweet chin music. And man, do they. A 3-0 dominating fashion, 13-7. 13-6, 13-4. They just got better with every single map.
I mean, you talk about sweet chin music. I mean, if you're on the side of Aimdroid, they really do seem like the Heartbreak Kids over there, just breaking you down. I mean, I don't know if it's just that Aimdroid got less confident, if their plans got more red, but either way, it just kind of, we saw that scoreline continue to go against their favor. I mean, it started off 7-13. That's, you know, surely you're able to get closer than that. 6-13, okay, that's a little bit of a slide. But, I mean, to end on a 4-13, that's a tough spot to be in. But I still think it was a great fight coming in from Android.
Yeah. Well, you know, Hyperspike, they get it done in dominating fashion. I do got word in my ear from our eye on the sky, Gatago here, that it looks like we are going to be blessed with some interviews. So we do need to take a moment to get these players loaded in here so we can get those interviews set up for you. So don't go too far. Maybe grab a snack, but when we come back, we'll have those interviews.
Hello, folks. Thank you for hanging in there with us. But on the other side of that nice little break, we do have a special little treat for you folks at home. Freddie, the one and only, coming in from Hyperspike. Freddie, hello. Welcome.
Hello, hello.
A big congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, Freddie, for those at home who might not have seen the beginning of this cast, the beginning of this matchup, you are the team captain for Hyperspike. I want to know, kind of going into this matchup, what was the mindset for you guys? Was this like you guys were super hyped, you wanted to get back at AimDroid, or you wanted to beat out AimDroid again, I should say, or was it like another day in the office for you guys?
Definitely wanted to, yeah, we lost to them in the upper bracket earlier in the playoffs, so we definitely wanted to get revenge. And honestly, we've had this matchup quite a few times over the season, so there's three or four of us that have been on the team for many seasons, and we've had quite a number of matches against AimDroid, so it's always a fun match.
I mean, did you expect to win so decisively today? We had a 13-7, a 13-6, and a 13-4, and you talked about it as well. I think in that upper bracket, it went to a best of three that they were able to close out on you. Were there any of those same maps that you guys played today, or what do you think the big difference was?
I mean, I honestly was very confident in our team. Like, I definitely think we had a good matchup against them. We knew how they played. Honestly, in the playoff match before, we had a sub, so a little bit of a difference in terms of comfortability. But yeah, this time around, yeah, I would say very, very confident in being able to 3-0. So.
Well, I think it is very fair to say that confidence was very well warranted, as we saw you guys walking away in what looked like pretty strong fashion throughout all three of these maps. Freddie, once again, a big congratulations. But before we let you go on this, I want to make sure that everybody gets to bed at a decent time tonight. I just want to give you the opportunity for any shout outs, praises, anything you have to say to the camera.
Yeah, so shout out definitely to all my teammates. There's been quite a few people that have been on the team for a long time. And then we had a number of subs and floaters that helped kind of fill in over the season. Special shout out to Josh, who joined us in the past couple of seasons and really carried us in kind of that game one with that last clutch to win the map. And then overall, just shout out to Epic, shout out to CEA. It's always fun to play in these. So definitely appreciate you coordinating all of this. And shout out to the casters. It's always fun to have some casters to cast the matches and stream the matches.
Well, it's certainly a great time watching you folks. And just once again, for those at home, this wasn't just all for bragging rights. 1,200 of the prize pool is going to be going to St. Jude for Hyperspike's a victory. AimDroid's charity not going to be walking away empty-handed. $600 for Doctors Without Borders. And finally, $200 to the World Central Kitchen for their third place victory in this charity cup. And Hot Sauce, any final closing thoughts here on this fantastic matchup we saw today?
No, just a big thanks to Freddie to come in here and give us an interview as well. We certainly appreciate his time. Like you said, it's getting late. Everybody's time is important, so we do appreciate that. But yeah, before we get going today, I think, we got to thank everybody behind the scenes as well. We get to look pretty and yell at the mic out here, but they're pressing the buttons, doing all the hard work. So a big shout out to our eye in the sky, Gatago. I know Lord Zacco, Mike. There's a lot of people behind the scenes. So a big shout out to everybody working very diligently to make sure the show runs so smoothly. So we certainly appreciate each and every one of you, as well as the competitors here today. And of course, everybody hanging out with us in chat. You guys make it so much more fun. We appreciate each and every one of you. Make sure you hit that follow button down below so you don't miss out on any of the future action to come. But that handsome man to my digital right is Sir Waltham. My name is Hot Sauce. You guys have been absolutely beautiful. Please enjoy the rest of your week. Peace.